G'day, welcome to Inforunners. I'm Execute, joined by Old Man Hurston himself.
That's right.
How you doing?
I'm getting doing okay, Execute, and I'm doing fine myself as well.
I totally slept in yesterday.
You did.
I thought it was Thursday and it was Friday. I had one of those moments. I've had one of those weeks.
He was so late. He was so late. I had to go to work before he even got up.
Do you know what time I woke up?
About 10 o'clock.
A bit after that. I slept right through. So if it had been today, that would have been after the live stream. That's how far I slept. Like about another hour after that. So yeah, I had a good sleep. But what I was doing, I was up playing Dungeon Born with Tom. But I always butcher his last name, Bassenhauser. I cannot pronounce it. I don't have the accent. Yeah, I don't have the accent. I can't pull it off. So yeah, we were playing Dungeon Board, and we're not the only one. There's a lot of other Star Citizen content creators playing it at the moment. Darklaw was playing it. Detox was playing it. There's quite a few of us.
Yeah, I do not want to hear any complaints if I'm 5 minutes late from now on, ever.
Oh no! You'll get the complaints. You'll get all the complaints. Oh wow, who's that?
And I'll just remind you every time you do.
Wow, we got an instant hype train on Twitch. Curious, I'm going to butcher your name, Brady. I apologize in advance. Ari Cassis MD. Does MD mean they're a doctor?
Maybe. Possible.
But he gifted a whole bunch of subs. I can't even read it. There's so much shit going off on my screen now. It looks like a confetti train. We've got Ardez, Ray on the 2, Hydron Pyramid, Hawkshot 2, 3 times Flash, Diablo, Annette, Almar Nabel, Calnex, XZ, Tenak, Kaitin Jis. Congrats on all your subs, and make sure you say thank you to Ari Cass MD. Man, I am not awake. I'm not warmed up to those weird voices. Weird names that people throw.
Thank you, Emicas MD, for that wonderful hype train. Once I actually get it up and I can actually see it, I will go live. Come on.
All right. Make sure you thank him for the emotes, and I do get a lot of compliments about the emotes. So if there's any emotes that you are particularly liking, I know the cat one's a favorite. It's definitely a favorite of mine. And apparently the helmet one is very popular. I know I see Arcane Danger use that a lot when we're in streams together. There's a 3D helmet one that I put in there. So yeah, if you got any ones that you think that would be popular, maybe we should put that up on Patreon. Actually, I'll do like a what emotes thing would you like to see next type of thing, because I enjoy making them. Gives me a bit of yeah, like that what Arcane Danger just did. But yeah, I enjoy making them. So thanks for that. Again, not how I wanted to start the stream, because we've totally derailed and tangented. But it is going to be one of those streams where it's quiet again. As you guys know, we're in that quiet before the 324, but we're also in the quietest time of the year, and that's hence the title, The Old Faithful. We are, and I mean that as a collective, the Old Faithful, because we are still here. What is wrong with us?
He's trying to beat the or go with the, or not use the "we held the line."
Yeah, basically.
He's picking up that idea.
We held the cheese, because they're so cheesy, these lines.
Yep. We're holding the line.
Yeah. So yeah.
We are the old guard.
Did you get around to watching ISC? I watched it later than usual yesterday for some reason. I don't know why. I just did.
No, because I was waiting.
Yeah.
I was waiting for somebody and sent several messages and phone calls and was ignored.
I love Do Not Disturb. It's the best feature on my phone.
And then had to go to work, and so I watched the intro. I know it was about with Chad McKinney talking cargo and hangars and stuff.
I think for you and I personally, it would have been a bit more difficult because we're in Evo, right? So it was stuff that you and I both already knew that we'd already talked about. So anyone that has really kind of watched the last one with us, as in when they did the cargo hauling stuff, they would have, most of what they went over would have just essentially been confirmed that, Execute and Algared are not lying type of thing. But
Yeah.
it's also good, obviously, for people that are not an Evo to hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. But I don't think you and I would have got much out of it, if
Well,
anything. Well,
that
I didn't get much out of it.
it's one of the things with being Evo or doing the early testing is, people, game developers will reveal something to the wider public.
Yep.
And the people who've been testing it go, oh, yeah, so what? Yeah, I know that. Yeah, we've been saying that for a while.
Mm.
But it doesn't change it being interesting or valid.
I will say the builds are getting better though. They're getting better. There was a couple of builds, like last week where you just couldn't even get into the game. It was that bad.
Yep.
Obviously, there's multiple things going on in each build. So someone, I'm not going to throw people on the bus, but let's just say networking, something breaks there, and then something else is working here, but then something breaks here, and then so it just breaks in different places. Very like the bugs are noticeably getting less and less. So again, even if you're not an Evo Cardi, I will show you this cool little thing if you kind of want to. And I had to show this to someone yesterday, so I'll show it again. Let me just switch over. Right? So I'm on the RSI website, which you guys obviously. Oh, Algared, you're in the wrong spot. I'm gonna have to move you. We were set up for that show. That other person. What did we do? We did
with Billionaire.
That's what we were set up for. Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
And his camera angle made it that he needed to be on the end because he was looking like a rude bastard otherwise.
Yes, he was. Oh, we're gonna turn that zoom thing off too. Hang on, let me fix that.
That's right.
Bang, done. All right, so you're on the RSI website. Basically, you go into Spectrum. Where the hell is it? Community. I don't normally do this. I normally have it bookmarked, so I go a different way. But what you're looking for is if you come into this general area and you scroll down here, where is it? It's going to make me a liar. Why is it not loading the way it should be loading? Oh, here it is. SC testing chat, or if you're like me, you've got it bookmarked up here. So when you go into SC testing chat, this will give you kind of insider knowledge if you're on the outside, so to speak. Is what you're looking at is these messages of the day up here, and it kind of tells you how Evocardi is going, right? And yesterday, it doesn't say. Wait, we are currently have a new 3.2 PTU patch for the Evocardi. Later today, we're not expecting this build to be ready for further waves. But yesterday, what it said was they're potentially getting ready for wave 1, right? So this gives you little insights, is what I'm trying to share with you guys, if you're trying to follow along.
Yep.
So you can kind of essentially read the room, and see how far away from wave 1 we are. And I guess what I'm trying to help you guys allude to there, if you're sitting on the outside, that just gives you a bit of a heads up. So I reckon within the next fortnight we'll have it. I'd be really surprised by 2 Fridays from now if we don't have it, just because they're already starting to talk about building, like expand to other waves, and it is getting to that level. Like having been in TVU and Evocardi, you can kind of see when it gets to a more stable playing area.
Yep.
Not that it's completely stable in the PTU, but I would say it's now getting to that level.
And look,
less frequent crashes.
Raygun in YouTube says, he was ready to play 3.24 this weekend. Look, everyone's been ready to play 3.24 for ages. But the nature of game development is such that, you can think, we're going to be here, and you end up being, 2 weeks or 3 weeks further away. It's just the way things are. You can apply it to any position or any job where you make a plan and say, this is where we're heading.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work out. But game development, you seem to see it or feel it a lot more, especially when you're one of the people who are going to be the recipient of that.
Yeah. I kind of had just on it's a slight tangent to what we're saying here, but I had this really kind of weird epiphany today. I was talking to someone that's kind of outside the space, and they were talking about how, like, the usual people you run into that Star Citizen's a scam and all that. And I kind of just had this realization. It wasn't just you don't understand how game development work. I kind of also realized, even unto myself, something that I don't realize is, what does it take to build a game studio? Because CIG had to do that too.
Yeah.
And I just kind of went, oh wait, I don't know anything about that either. And Chris has done that 2-3 times now, built game studios.
Yeah.
So I think that's the other thing we probably need to add to that. Like, how do you go about building a game studio before you even build a game? That makes it
So,
really clear and
and,
obvious to someone on the outside, does it not? When you put it in
and
those words.
yeah, and you look at the people who have kind of helped build the game studios. You know, you've got Tony,
Mm,
you've got Aaron, you've got
Sandy.
I wasn't thinking Sandy, I was thinking Frankfurt,
Yeah.
um, you know, German Jesus.
Yep.
Whose name
Brian Chambers. Yes.
Brian.
Yes.
Brian.
Yeah.
I just went totally blank for a second.
You,
But I knew if I said German Jesus, everyone would know who I was
German
talking
Jesus. I have to remember that one. Praise Jeebus. If we see him there, I got to make you go up and say that to him. Praise Jeebus. No.
about. No,
He's the Viking. I think he'll
but
always be the Viking.
yeah, Viking or German Jesus. That's what. And I say that because that's what people. I can remember that's one of the things people often used to say. You know, he those long flowing locks and
yeah, for sure.
yeah. But you know, each of them have been very key in building studios in the past. Not only Chris and Sandy, but also, and I wouldn't say Sandy had the background in building studios because she was a total noob. Her experience came from a totally different field, but that field had a major impact on customer service and the approach to customer service.
Yeah.
One of the first gaming studios I'm aware of where they said we need to treat our players, our clients, as actual real customers, not just fob them off as it doesn't matter. That was a huge turnaround. I can remember the comment, you know, as but that's how it's always been. I think that's rubbish. And then training up Chelsea and Ben's wife as the first, Ali as the first, as the first team, and working alongside them and answering a lot of those.
Essentially, they laid the groundwork, didn't they?
They laid the groundwork, and I know we complain that customer service isn't as good as it used to be, and it's not. But that's also because the population that is asking for those has significantly just ballooned, and the customer service team has not increased by the same number. So, yeah. So, yeah.
No, there's a lot of so yeah, I just had this kind of realization. It wasn't just a game; it's also a game studio. There's the kind of the business side of it, and that kind of threw me a fair bit. And it was just a bit of an epiphany moment. That someone else, because they were a business person, and it just let me see it in a different light. And I thought I'd share that because it made it really clear that it's not just a game. You've also got to build a business, and then like you said, when it goes to other studios, like building it's 5 times that, like you said. So yeah. Right.
Raygun.
Go ahead.
Raygun 972 has a question.
Yep.
Following last ISC, do you think we'll be able to shoot at people trying to steal on the landing pads of an outpost? Apparently, it will be possible in our installation hangars and public ones.
It'll really come down the arms design, won't it? At the end of the day, it's not. If you know anything about the testing, it can be so bad that you can't get out of certain paces and stuff like that. So people trying to limit at the moment, because a lot of the testing is around cargo. Most people go to the hangar, do that, and maybe they go to, say, like I'm at Horizon where I've been doing mine. So, or like yesterday. So I might go up to Seraphim and come back, and that's it. You know. There's problems with doors, all the usual stuff you deal with, like doors, elevators, and not only that, we're also now dealing with instance hangars. So there are a lot of bugs around. You're technically in a hangar with someone else, but it's a different instance. So sometimes you'll get weird bugs, like one of the ones I dealt with yesterday was when I was in my ship, it was telling me that I shouldn't be there. I was trespassing, but it was my own ship, and it lasted for about 5 to 10 seconds, and then it disappeared. And then things like I'll hear the sounds of another ship and it's not my ship. So there's definitely teething issues they're still trying to work out.
Yep. Santa Trucks has a question.
Yeah.
Says, you all pick there's BIS this year. I'm all in for the Valkyrie.
I was literally just doing a logo for that before stream. for Inforunners. So, wait, hang on. I'll show you what I did.
So he wants to know what ship we're backing. I personally like the.
We've done a video on it.
We have done a video for them.
You'll have to wait and see the video. Personally, as well, this once. Hang on. So,
But my personal preference.
Yep.
Is a Gladiator.
Probably. After we did all the talking about on stream, I think mine would be the Terrapin.
Yeah, we did also talk about that the other day and thought, oh yeah, the Terrapin is a real good one. But either the Terrapin or the Gladiator. I like the Gladiator because it's so steeped in the lore of the game. It was one of the first poster childs for the game. It was the first ship that was put into a magazine as a spread. And they did that to show all the internals that they were putting into the ships. Yeah. So I literally put the blueprint into a gamer's mag. I think it was PC Gamer or something like that.
Yep.
Back in 2014, 2015.
Yeah. So little icons like this. If you're on the Discord, I and the mods essentially changed the icon to do events now. It annoys some people because they're looking for the usual like blue Inforunners disc, and I change it, but it is always the same running man. It's just a different theme. So
it gets me when I can't see the running man.
Yeah. Well, you got to position. You always position. I for the longest time I didn't have it positioned at the top. Now it's just the first one, so it makes it easier. Or you could put it in a folder called Inforunners, and it'll always be in there. So you could do that too. But yeah. So yeah. Anyway, that's going to be the icon when Ship Showdown kicks off. So yeah.
Yep.
I originally had a punching cloth, and then I'll see if I can bring that up real quick. Hang on, because that's good for a laugh. Hang on. So this is the original one I had, and then the mods were like, no, you should make it like this. So there, that was the original one I had. You know, ding 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 showdown, and yeah, they went no, just take theirs and remove the ships and put the Inforunners, and yeah, it made a lot of sense. So I agreed.
Yep. Our mods are good.
Yep.
So that. Yep. I agree. Let's see.
Yeah. So make sure you get your questions in too, guys, because again, the stream lives and dies on questions. I know there's not as many people as usual. Technically, at the moment, we've got 4 questions left, so this is going to be real quick.
And yes, I did mean Aaron Roberts. I don't know who I said, but yes, I did mean Aaron.
Yep. No. So Ray said Aaron Roberts, and I corrected him and said, "Did you mean Aaron?"
Right.
He had the right. He had the right thinking. I just think he typed.
Yep.
Aaron instead of Aaron. That's all good. But yeah, all good. Right. Next question is
an old man Hurst emoji is what they want.
Look, I've tried and I can't get one I'm happy with. Like, because they look too much like this other guy I know called Algared. So essentially it'll just be you with a like a top hat and monocle type of thing.
I think you take the caricature that Paul had made of Old Man Hurston. Admittedly, it was just me.
You mean the T-shirt I have? Yeah, that one.
No, the one that Paul had made.
You're forgetting the T-shirt I had made.
I know the one you had made. Yeah.
But yeah. So I don't know. I'll figure it out. You know, there are some emotes for Algared out there. Like I've got the KFC one, the Colonel one. There's a couple on the Discord as well. So we'll see. Got one of Algared going like that. So we'll go through it and find. But we'll see. I don't know. I'll have to have a play. I'll try.
Yep. Well, I think the best Old Man Hurston is the one that Paul did for the fundraiser.
Yep.
But
there's the one, an Uwu girl one.
Yeah,
that's what we need.
Uwu girls. Yeah. I'm not sure what an Uwu girl is, but
yeah. Well, we should make a T-shirt that's just Algared, like Algared's face on Hugh Hefner. I think that would cover it. Yep. All right. Yeah. All right, next question, Algared, if you want to kick it off.
No, there was no ISC reaction yesterday because Execute was a dirty, sleeping, lazy person who didn't get up. He forgot the day.
No, I forgot the day I slept in. But
in the end, I said, I've got to go. I've got to go to work.
But I also did point out after I watched it, I was like, oh, well, I'm kind of glad we didn't, because there wasn't really anything in it that we hadn't already talked about. And I think even CIG themselves kind of hinted to that fact. Like they literally did one on cargo hauling, and then they've just done another one of the same thing.
It really was just a following up of what they'd said,
Yeah,
from what I gather.
yeah,
Like that was what I watched the intro, got to a bit with Chad McKinney talking, and it did feel like, yeah, this is going to be a rehash of what we've done. It's just coming directly from Chad McKinney rather than
it
Joe Blow.
was what you and I would call a filler episode. That's what it felt like. It felt like that they had planned to already have 324 out by now, and they just went, well, we don't want to talk about this stuff because it's not quite ready, so we'll do an extra padded episode. So they just talked about some more of the stuff they hadn't talked about, and padded it in. But
Yeah. I could fully see that. It's it was an episode we'd call low hanging fruit. It's something that would have been very easy for them to do.
Yeah.
Especially if you got the guy who's head of doing it talking about it and filling in the bits and pieces. Yeah.
And I get the sneaking suspicion they actually do have a little bit to talk about that they're keeping for CitizenCon. I just get that sneaking suspicion because they really it's been such a quiet year, but we also know that a lot of people moved over to Star Citizen. So I think whatever they've been working on since the start of the year is what we're going to essentially see at CitizenCon, obviously, and some more Squadron stuff. So I'm kind of keen, but I have been generally lowering my expectations since the gala was cancelled. I'm like, okay, so I don't think we're going to see release anymore.
Yeah, well, I think the gala really did say that the inclusion of a gala indicated the release of Squadron 42, and that would have said that it's a whole focus of CitizenCon.
Yeah.
The withdrawal of the gala to me says we're not going to make release target. That changes the focus of CitizenCon, and that means what are they going to fill it with? So, whereas I fully expected full CitizenCon, and it might still be very heavy. I expected full Star Squadron, not full Star CitizenCon. But whereas I expected that, we may still get a whole pile of Squadron, but it's certainly not going to be the main focus, I don't think. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, Caveman Crafting says, hopefully the things they talked about at last CitizenCon come to fruition this year before next CitizenCon. I think a lot of things already have. I think, and I think the thing I would say about the cargo hauling system, to use the same word of hauling, it is a drastic overhaul to how the game works. Like, having been in Evo, and I think you would agree with me on this, Algared, from what you've seen, when you fundamentally understand how it connects so many back-end systems to the actual game, it is like from the front end, it's like physicalizing cargo. Whoop-de-doo. But then you've also got instance hangars, and all the parts that connect to it is what make it seem it's how do I word this? It's many things connected together, but it works so well that it just seems simple. And that's why it's taking so long, because it's essentially getting all these things to run smoothly together, juggling plates type of thing.
Yeah, and every time you get, it's very easy to get one line to go through.
Yeah.
Second you add 3 or 4, then you start to get the problems of clashes and stuff. What's our topic? We are currently just discussing
ISC.
Both ISC and 324, and the problems of getting that to go when you're designing and all the threads are coming together. How the hanger system really ties into a lot of back end stuff. We've touched on CitizenCon. We'll talk anything. So
it's
whatever the questions are is what we'll discuss. So.
I think now you can kind of realize why cargo's got to work before some other systems come in, because cargo literally, as I've said before, fundamentally connects to every system in the game. It's a core framework, and I think once they get online, you can start to see other things will rapidly come in after it, like scanning and stuff like that. Scanning's probably another key one. But they need those in place, and I think base building's another one, because the big difference between a multiplayer game and a single player game set in the same universe essentially is that you need those multiplayer structures, and essentially it's just a room system within a different container, and that gives you everything from a bunker to a planet to a an asteroid base, a ship, um,
Yeah.
and
It's just
well,
containers in containers in containers.
well, well,
Oh,
well, even if you look at other ships, like for example, let's take the Banner Merchantman,
mm,
that will benefit from the room system because
mm,
once you put the shops in, if you think about it, putting things around your hangar is not going to be like the same system that they build for that will probably be exactly the same as the thing that you do to put things around your shop, right?
yeah.
So they're not going to do a double up. So
No.
by pushing the Banner Merchant back a little bit, so to speak, and I know they didn't push it back because people left, but again, by going back, there's actually a benefit there because they can
Yep.
get the the stuff around your hangar is the light step of that, but then
Mm,
actually being able to customize your room and think of all the benefits that'll have, putting things around your hab, building your outpost, and
mhm.
again, you need all those parts. So it's once the base building comes along, the fabrication comes along, and then being able to put things out and edit to where they want to go. You can see there's multiple systems there that
Yep.
they've talked about that now line up and give you cascading effects essentially.
Yep. Yep.
Mm.
No difficulty with that at all in terms of acknowledging that at all. It's just the way it is, and you can see that. But
As,
yeah,
as we
doesn't
keep,
make it easy for us, but
as I keep saying, Algared, it's getting harder and harder to hold this little my little head. There's too
yeah,
much to
there's too much to deal with, isn't it?
there's so many connecting dots. Like you start to, I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm starting to see it all start to come together and coalesce. It's just all, you know.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and as you start to see it all blend in, like you can even see, um, if you get the cargo working right,
mm,
then it makes piracy work right. It makes repo man work right. It makes all of that stuff works right.
yeah,
Um, and
yeah,
that's just a minuscule one.
mm,
So, but shops is another one. Like they said when they talked about the Banner Merchantman, they said the Banner Merchantman will have the same shop system that the
mm.
um, the Kraken has, the Kraken privateer has. But
Well,
they're effectively going to be very similar to the shops we have
well, if you
on stations. They'll just have different limited stock.
you would remember that episode you and I spent months on, a couple of months, where we were
Mm,
talking about a room system and shops and all that. And it's ironically funny that that's exactly how it's going to be. We theorized it years ago. Um, and yeah, it's kind of interesting that it is going to be exactly what you and I thought of all those years ago. And
yep.
it didn't get many views at the time, and I probably don't think it's got many views now. But yeah, we were ahead of our time at that time. So yeah. But that was an
Well,
episode you and I really enjoyed doing, didn't we? We talked about it for months before we
but
made that.
but I think part of it is there's a lot of things that we see that we've picked up over the years and we've mulled over and talked
Mm,
over as we've seen the development. It's not that we've had this epiphany and
mm,
insight, and
yeah,
are foretelling the future. It's just that we've read back and we remember stuff and we remember things they've said and we remember where they've said they want to
mm,
go. And then as you start thinking about it and you think about what they've said about the room system, you go, that's how they're going to do it. But there's just going to be
yeah,
so,
yeah. Well, it just
and if it changes, it just, yeah,
we're just connecting dots. We just kind of realized, well, like you're building rooms, why wouldn't you make shops a part of the room system and
of some form.
remove those double ups essentially?
Mm.
Um,
Anyway,
I can't
next
even
question.
I can't even remember what we were going to call it. I was going to bring up the video, but I probably can't find it. It was I can't remember what we called it now. I'd have to go back through and look at all the videos. But yeah, go on to the next question already.
So Raygun 972 has another question. They say the only comfort thing I have this week is that my question about the Zeus CL the other day. No, does the Zeus CL have any purpose anymore? So it was a bit. The question was worded a bit awkwardly.
Let me read
So
it.
the only comfort is my Zeus CL, does it have any use? Is basically what I understand he's asking. So
I think the CL still has a purpose. It's a cargo ship. It is very similar to the Freelancer Max in its carrying capacity. It's just obviously until we have the Zeus come out and other gameplay features. That's one of the things we talk about all the time. Like just very simply, armor's not in the game, right?
Yeah.
When you put armor in the game, you can have one ship just has more armor than the other, even if the ships are almost essentially the same on paper. One having armor and one not, totally, like, so one's shields based, one's armor based. That totally changes how they work because they're good for different situations, and that's
My
what we found out, didn't we, Algared, when we
yeah.
actually did that comparison?
My view of the Zeus CL is no, it's not. It's not a good ship.
Mm.
It's not the best ship because the second you fill it up to full cargo, you block access to your components, which means you have an engineering trouble. Tough. You basically make it into a fighter that you can't repair,
Yep.
but it's a big ship. So, in my opinion, the Zeus CL, even though it can carry more cargo than say a Miz or a freelancer, isn't as good because you can't access the components when it's fully laden. And so to get the best out of it, to be able to access the components, you don't want to take it fully laden. So you're losing the advantage of extra cargo.
Yeah, and I guess that'll come around in time too, like how much you've got to give up and stuff like that. So, all right, I found it, man.
Yeah.
It took a long time. Algared, I've gone back like 500 episodes.
Yeah. So Raygun was saying he was asking why the CL wouldn't come out at the same time as the EF, given it was just a straight cargo ship.
That's how long ago it is. Like back when we had that logo, and I used to do all the colored texts and stuff, and and it was back when I used that same image all the time on the side for hexagons. That is a long time ago. So that is 5 years ago we did that, Algared.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
and you can see, by the way, you can see that even though our branding has changed, we still keep the hexagons. The hexagons are our brand. Different.
Oh God, Algared, look how old look how young we were there. Wow, with like hair and stuff.
Oh, get rid of that. That's even before that's before the that's before the suit and tie.
Yeah. That.
Although, if you did, you may have noticed that was deliberate. That one, I'm pretty certain, because we were both wearing the Polaris T-shirt.
Yes, we were. But yeah.
Because we both thought the Polaris was like the best T-shirt ever.
Yeah.
That's how bad it is. I think I actually had to toss my Polaris T-shirt the other day because it worn out.
I've got a little hole where one of my cats like clawed me like on my chest, but other than that, mine's still pretty good. So yeah.
No pattern on it anymore, and holes all over it.
Yeah.
So it was gone.
So yeah, if you want to kind of see what we talked about there, like we were predicting the room system. Again, it's 5 years ago, and there's obviously going to be things.
How many views did it have? Let's see if we can push the views up.
What did we get? We didn't even get 1,000. We got 926, but that was 5 years ago. But again, it's just like I haven't gone back and watched this either. But I guarantee there's going to be things in here we got wrong. But this was us trying to predict how they were going to do rooms and space stations and all that type of stuff. And I think we got pretty close considering. So yeah, if you ever want to kind of, I know there are a lot of people who go back and watch our episodes. We hear that a lot, but I would like to hear some comments on this one, because like I just think we did pretty good. And at the time we were like, yeah, people are going to not watch this. They're going to think we're crazy lunatics, and they did at the time. But it's essentially born fruit all these years later.
There you go. They're saying self-react video.
Oh no! In pain. Yeah.
No mercy. Have mercy.
Maybe we could. I don't know. Maybe we're gonna do a low-hanging fruit one this week. But
maybe a self-reaction video as a premiere. Or something like that.
Or maybe we might just do it as like a Patreon members exclusive type thing, just for a bit of shits and giggles to the old faithful, like the episode. But we'll see.
Yep, maybe. All right, so that's Raygun's question.
Yep.
Our next question is from T-Jack. T-Jack says, why does it seem CIG loves putting players in precarious, if not risky situations, like the whole hangar security idea? I feel like 30 seconds is way too long, way too much, and makes people vulnerable.
Well, so you're saying the person, because this is the other thing they didn't confirm, is the person that sneaks into your cargo can shoot you in your cargo. But, yeah, that's true. I never actually thought of it that way. Can they technically sneak in, pull out a gun, kill you, and then get pulled out? I never thought of it that way. But the other thing was in the episode, like as soon as he got into the area, he had like 10 seconds. He'd be lucky to kill one person before he got sucked out. But that, if you were an assassin, that'd be worth it. Because not only do you get to kill them, but you get sucked out, so you're teleported away to safety. So it's actually a boon, not a drawback.
Yeah. Unless you're sucked out, you get automatically taken to prison. Because it's that security got you.
It's almost like they need to put like an airlock in there, like a door or something, so only the owner can open the door. So yes, you can get into that first area, but if the I don't know how you get around that. Actually, I'm trying to think about it.
A bit like they do with the if you go to board an 890 jump or any of the ships that are at the docking clamp.
That's not what they're talking about though. So
no, I know that. No.
Because there's no armistice in that hangar, like it's your own personal area. There's no laws there, so technically someone can kill you, then get pulled out by security, and so essentially they've killed you, got away with it, and been teleported out. I don't think CIG have seen that yet. I bet you that'll happen. Again, I think with other issues they'll address it at some point. But yeah, the more I play it through in my head, I can see someone just loving that, being the dirty little rat and.
Yes, limited response. We do need elevated guards for Old Man Hurston. Absolutely.
I was actually thinking to myself when I was watching the episode, the ships. Oh, you haven't seen it, Algared, but they had ships shooting people and stuff like that. I was thinking to myself, the first thing I'd want to do is I'd just have an auto defense turret set up that faces the elevator. So as soon as anyone that's not meant to be there comes out of the elevator, it shoots them. But I don't know if that's a thing they're going to allow you to do, but that's what I would do if I was allowed to.
I'm sure you'll remember people were talking about doing that type of stuff back in their ships back in 2014. I want a self-defense turret in my ship, in my Connie. So if anyone boards my Connie, it will shoot it. And they were going, which was kind of, I think, them saying no.
Sorry, I missed that. How did that go again?
So they were saying, back in the day in 2014, people were saying that's what they wanted on their ships. They wanted an automatic self-defense turret, pointed the entrance so that if someone boarded the ship,
That's not the part that I missed. There was this sound effect that I missed. I want to hear that again.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's me going, maybe.
You went like, whatever you did. I don't know.
They gives me shit all the time. Yeah. See what I have to put up with?
Someone's got to give you shit, man. No, you're not going to stay sane.
I have 100 students who give me shit all the time.
Yeah. And they make you insane. So I balance that out.
I don't need anyone else giving me crap. All right, so T-Jack, unfortunately it's the way of multiplayer first-person shooter / style games.
I think we'll say it's a teething issue. Because my first thought, as I said, was a turret.
Yep.
If you can put a turret in your hangar,
they
wouldn't even bother coming into your hangar because they'd just get blasted. And you'd legally be able to do it,
Yep.
So yeah, that's how I fix it. Just a security turret.
Or two.
Yeah. And we know you're gonna get turrets and base defenses and stuff like that. So if they're deployable, you just deploy one in your hangar and that'll be a huge deterrent. Again, cart before the horse problem. Hopefully down the road it's fixed.
Your personal NPCs who you have to, who are there and get used occasionally. Yeah. Well, they live there and they shoot them when they come in. I don't know.
Well, it was essentially the fix for space stations. Why couldn't it be the same fix for the, for the hangar?
Yep.
So. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how they fix it. Right.
T-Jack has a second question.
Yep.
Elaborated. What I mean is a player can rush into your hangar with a few others and essentially prevent you from going to your hangar, or worse, you are there and get shot in the back. Yep. So I think we've discussed that.
Yeah, pretty much covered that one. Right, just letting you guys know that we've only got about 5 questions left. So if you want to get some more questions in, please. It always makes us nervous when we're this early in the stream and there's not many. Well, actually, we're 40.
My question for Twitch is, what's the problem?
It's not a single question from Twitch.
There's not a
So
single question from Twitch. So,
yeah.
Twitch, I'm looking at you. Get your act together. That's all I'll say. Just, I know probably everyone is on YouTube and Twitch, and that's why we're just coming from on YouTube. But yeah. Skubek says, when do you expect 4.0 to be ready for PU? For those not sure, due to 3.24 delays, in your opinion. Will come out this year. But I wonder if 4.0, when it's ready, when they're ready for it. Delay the 3.24. Yeah. So when do you expect 4.0?
So it's really complicated because I thought about this a fair bit, right? They've said they kind of want to get it out before the end of the year. They've kind of hinted at that, and I think CitizenCon is where they're aiming for. They're also dropping things like 1.0. I think 1.0 would, you correct me if I think I'm wrong, but I think that will them saying essentially early access beta. So the move from alpha to beta will be 1.0. And that's also kind of signified as after 4.0. So is 4.0 and 1.0 the same thing, or are they two separate things?
Yeah.
And if they're two separate things, I would expect 4.0 around CitizenCon, like that September timeframe. You know how they always put it at the end of September and then they just delayed it by 10 days because CitizenCon was 10 days later. So that type of thing, but maybe they'll delay it by 20 days because of CitizenCon, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really as if we're not in 3.24 but 0.324.
Yeah, well, that's kind of
and
what
yeah, and we're moving toward that point where we're now in.
Yeah.
I think I could see them doing something like that, but any, mini, miny, mo.
Yeah. So yeah, essentially, it's it's really hard for me to phrase this. The way I'd kind of phrase it is I'm not really super concerned so much about the naming and numbering. It's more like just seeing progress. And I'm wanting I'm more interested in Squadron at the moment, right? Because I think Squadron really needs to get out the door, so they can kind of have that established, okay, you did a good job type of thing. But again, I don't want them to rush it. Where Squadron, as for Star Citizen, yes, that's the thing we're seeing every day. But again, until that Squadron 42's out there, they kind of almost need to get their haters off their back a little bit. I don't know how else to say that. And Star Citizen is a game that's going to take. If it took them that long to get Squadron 42 out the door, again, we're in for another long haul. It's not going to, I'm not saying it's going to take as long, right? But server meshing is not something I want them to rush. Like, it is such a core tenet that makes the whole multiplayer part of the game work, that if you rush this in any way, shape, or form, and it's essentially not seamless, it's going to have cascading effects down the line. I think that kind of covers what I'm trying to say.
No,
Yeah.
I think you're right. It needs to be, and it's a bit like I don't really care when. It's a matter of, again, seeing progress.
Yeah.
And that's the key thing. And while I'm seeing progress,
yeah,
I'm happy. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me whether we get, we get 5 jump points or 4 jump points or 3 or just the 1. As long as I'm seeing that progress developing, I'm happy with it.
Yeah. So Robert Voss was watching Astropub yesterday, and Paul did say he reckons it's coming before CitizenCon, and that's kind of what I'm alluding to. They generally drop a patch at the end of September, but sometimes it gets delayed. But I think most of us would agree that have been here for that long enough time a period, that is the CitizenCon patch. But they essentially then just turn some stuff on. Like, for example, that's where I'd expect the Zeus to drop, right?
Well,
but it wouldn't turn on until CitizenCon or the day of CitizenCon.
If 4.0, and going on usually, if 4.0 is actually a jump point, then I could see Squadron, not Squadron, but I could see 4.0 dropping at CitizenCon since we're not seeing Squadron. Since I don't think we're having Squadron released.
Algared,
So
you should probably reply to that one because I don't speak
Yep.
the language.
Salamat pagi, winner.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. I'll just go. He's probably.
morning.
I can say random. See, I can make up random names and numbers and stuff. Yeah.
No, well,
Yeah. I don't know. I don't speak Indonesian. I don't hear it spoken, so I don't know if he's lying or telling the
name is
truth.
winner.
Yeah.
And I just said good morning.
Oh, okay.
Salamat pagi, winner.
Buggy. Did you just call her a buggy winner? Buggy winner.
No.
Buggy winner.
Salamat pagi.
He's making shit
Winner.
up now. He's making shit up. I don't think he's a language teacher at all. He's a makeup teacher. Yeah, that's what he does.
See what I have to put up with all the time.
Ah, dear. All right. Next question. What do we got?
Next question.
Subek says, when do you expect 4.0 will be ready for PU? This is pretty much the one we just did, isn't it? Yeah.
That's the one we just did. I hadn't crossed it yet.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. All right. Gore-Tex Fog says, with the progress tracker missing in action, could you remind us all of the ships currently in active production? We did go through. God, we did
All
a
of them.
couple of. There was only one we couldn't account for. Of the 7, man, we'd have to do it again. So it was the ships in the silhouette video. So you got the Fat Fury or the Guardian. You've got the Zeuses, of which there are 3.
Several.
And then there was. Oh, God, man, I'm having a brain fart. I'm not a
Polaris and
and the new RSI Advanced Starter, or what you and I call the RSI Advanced Starter, that could technically be other manufacturers as well, but being a betting man. But yeah, we essentially you go through all of them, and there's only one that's not accounted for, and I would say that that's probably a CitizenCon flight ready like type of ship.
Yep.
Because that makes sense. So essentially, what I'm expecting from CitizenCon is the Zeus, but then maybe a concept, and then a flight ready at the same time.
Yeah.
That's what I'm expecting from ships at CitizenCon. So yeah, Algared, would you kind of?
I think that seems reasonable. I'd like to see it to be. I'd love it to be, and I doubt it'll be, but I'd love it to be the Anvil capital ship. But it's more likely going to be the Drake.
I'm going to put it this way, right? And I've kind of said this to you before. I can't believe you didn't remember this, but again, you can disagree with me. That's totally fine. I think it may actually be the Fat Fury. And the reason for that is I reckon they'll also kind of announce the Zeus ST there as well. And I reckon it'll, again, by then having 2 medium ships, and again, if it's 4.0 and you've got the jump point to go through, it makes jump point racing essentially possible, which is what we kind of talked about. And they may also talked about ship variants. Now, if you're going back and you're doing medium racing ships, instantly that goes, well, you can make a Freelancer, Cutlass, and Spirit variant that are racing. And I'm saying that they only mentioned 2 variants. So I'd probably say the Freelancer is the one that they're not doing, because we know that that's in a rework at the moment. So they might do a Cutlass racing and a Spirit racer. Now, I'm saying that's exactly what they're doing, and I'm speculating there. But that if you're going into medium racing, it makes a lot of sense when you've already, we know that the Zeus is one. We know that the Guardian's another one. And again, you got to look at Mirai as a manufacturer. What are all their ships? They are all combat or racing. There is nothing else from Mirai. They are all that way. You can look at the Pulse, you can look at the Fury, and I guess if you look at the Fury, there's an MX as well, which is the missile variant. So yes, you could technically have a missile variant of a ship, but realistically, more than likely, what you're going to get from that Mirai Guardian or the Fat Fury is a combat ship and a racing one, and that's it. So yeah, I don't know.
No, look, seems reasonable. But again, at the capital ship, if they're bringing out a capital ship, I could see the 2 two that have been teased in the past. One is the Drake Corvette, which we don't really.
I think that'll be the concept, yeah.
And we don't have the Anvil capital ship that's been teased for years and years and years. And so I'd like to see either of those. But if we get them, if we do, great. If we don't,
So that's kind of what I'm expecting. A Drake Corvette as a concept. And I reckon we'll probably get the Mirai Guardian as a straight to flyable. Because if you realistically, again, look back at the ship silhouette video, starters tend to come at AIE. So that would put that advanced starter, whatever the manufacturer is, at AIE. And therefore, the only thing left is the Mirai Guardian.
And we've also got the promise from John Crew that those 12 ships on that mirror,
that's a good,
on that curtain, are out this year.
Lazarus has a really good point. A 450R. Yeah, you could get a 400i racing variant. That I didn't even think of that. You are totally right. Yeah, I'll give you that one.
Yeah, because it is a sleek looking ship already. So but yeah, so of those ships behind the yellow curtain, John Crew said they will be out this year. And more.
And to Kishkin's point, he says Drake has a capital, so I say Anvil capital should be a thing. But we also know that John Crew said at CitizenCon last year at the after party that someone asked him, when will you make the Kraken? And he said, well, we need to fill out the ships between the Caterpillar and the Kraken to be able to make the Kraken. And I left my door open and cats are opening it. I'll have to close it in a second. But anyway, they made the Ironclad, right? So they're starting to fill out that lineup. So, but they didn't make the Corvette because he literally said at that after party, someone said, does that mean we'll be getting a Drake Corvette? And he said, yes, it does. And so from that effect, we still need that Corvette. Now, if all the last 3 years at CitizenCon AIE, they only released a large ship, but we, for the first time ever, saw the release of a large ship at Invictus. That's the largest ship we've ever had released at Invictus, right? And so if they were releasing the large there, you have to assume there's a capital coming at CitizenCon AIE. And if that is what's happening, I would be betting money that it's Drake because we already had the Ironclad. There hasn't been any other, and if you look at all the other ships in the lineup, we haven't had any other big ships that aren't really big or haven't already been worked on. So and I think it makes sense to go in. What do you get out of the Kraken, right? You get essentially an evil ship or an enemy ship that's another large capital. Makes a lot of sense from Squadron 42 Episode 2 connotations, right? It's the same thing. Like, look at why we're doing the Polaris right now. People go, oh yeah, we get a capital ship, server meshing, blah, blah, blah. But when you put that back to Squadron 42, it's a ship that you can have as in Episode 2. And why are they building that now? Because they're starting work, that they're going to finish Squadron 42 Episode 1 and be able to take that Polaris straight into Episode 2 and start working on it. So the ball's essentially rolling now, so they're ready to go straight, like Squadron 42 comes out and they go straight into Episode 2. I don't know. It just makes logical sense to me. Again, I worked in the industry. I can see how it rolls. I could be off the mark. Again, I'm on the outside looking in, just like you guys, but I'm just trying to see the preemptive nature of where they're going with Episode 2 and 3, which we know that is coming. Where you look at Anvil, right? Now, I'm with Algared. I would love to see an Anvil capital ship, but they just haven't got any other new ship. The only other ship that's there is the Crucible. And the Liberator. Right, so that's there as well. But where's the really big capital? They've never announced it.
And when you're looking at the ships that you need, and if they're saying to make that really big capital ship for Drake, you need to have the other stuff in the middle. It really does signify. Okay, we need that. We need a Corvette. We need that middle ship. So we've got a large ship. We've got the Ironclad. We've got the Kraken, something in between. That gives you a family of ships to work on, and that I think indicates. Whereas this year is RSI with the ships they've been working on, the Polaris, and those family of ships. I think the next family of ships they work on will be Drake.
I would then bet money that Anvil would be after that. but I think it, as you and I say, they kind of give us hints of what is coming next. And the fact that they announce an ironclad,
Yeah, I think it's a hint that the Drake.
oh, it's a massive tip. Yeah.
Yeah.
But hey, I will be like, if Anvil comes out, I'll be happy and I'll admit that I was wrong. As in like a ship it concept at the end of the year. But I just, what do they get at Anvil, right? So look at the Liberator and the Crucible. What does that bring to Squadron 42? As in the story. Because you can't functionally, it's a combat game. Crucible doesn't work. Liberator doesn't work. What do you get from the Ironclad? Now, and I'll put this back to you, Algared. Do you remember, I had to think about this for a really, really, really long time, right? And I went through and I looked at the Caterpillar. What does the do you remember the missions with the Caterpillar? The jail missions? The prison transports?
Yeah.
Now put that under the Ironclad.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you've already talked about that.
Yeah.
It makes it more space and gives you that area to walk around.
Yeah. So
like
I think that's what the Ironclad's for. I think it's got Squadron 42 connotations as well, is what I'm trying to say. Because it essentially is just a wider Caterpillar.
If you're looking at roles you could give for ships like the Crucible or that, there's nothing to say you can't have a whole mission sequence for Squadron 42 or a whole storyline based around a tragedy that's happened and you need to go and repair or fix or help, or even looking at the Tavaran storyline and having those types of ships going out and doing that type of exploration. But we haven't had that teased yet.
So Caveman saying you don't think the Crucible we used to fix player ships? Absolutely. But you've got to look at it in both channels at the same time. You've got to look at the multiplayer game and the single player game. And let's be honest, the single player game is a lot further ahead than where the multiplayer's game is. Now, so if I build this Crucible, yes, it works in the multiplayer game, but I don't get anything for the single player game other than a set piece. Right, kind of like where the Reclaimer and the Starfarer was in Squadron 42. They were essentially set pieces, right? It does nothing for Squadron 42.
I can have a repair ship turn up and do repair, and maybe at that point you have to go across and do some help with repairs, but it's not really something that's essential to have in terms of doing it. You could take your ship to a Jericho Station type place.
That talks to Caveman's point. He literally says, even in Wing Commander movie, they had that. Yeah, but you can get the same effect with a hand tool or a smaller repair tool. You don't need an entire ship to do the repair sequence. So you've kind of stumbled on yourself. You can just do that in the Idris hangar. Hell, even if you had the Kraken, you could do it in the Kraken's repair area. Right? Because that's got a repair one as well. So you do get repair facilities by doing the Drake ships as well. But yeah. And also the Ironclad's got the repair facilities now I think about it too. So you see where I'm going with this? Yeah.
I tend to think the repair ship, if we get any repair ship in Squadron, it's going to be the Vulcan. Because they'll just have the drones that go out and do the stuff they need. And it'll just be automated.
Then again, they already do kind of have the repair stuff in game right now. So by doing the Assault and the Kraken, you're just expanding that essentially. So I think you've kind of just hit on a point that's actually helped my cause, not hindered it there, Caveman. But yeah, thank you, because it does help to actually nut this stuff out to bounce it back and forwards. So yeah, but yeah.
Luna Mario says, "Hey guys, basically ask questions." Someone had asked what the topic is, and she basically responds, "Ask questions, or it will be a very short stream."
Yeah.
So yes. Ask questions, or it's a very short stream.
It's essentially just having a discussion with you guys. You're giving us discussion topics, essentially. Yeah.
So yeah, the discussion topic is what you guys make it. If you guys don't give us anything, we'll talk. We'll talk whatever takes our fancy.
Yeah.
So. Limited respawns had a question.
Yep.
Hey, we're only an half hour behind on our questions today. That's how few our questions are.
Must be a record.
Yeah. So the question is, are armor and helmets always going to be in boxes? I'd like to have helmets on tables rather than boxes so people can see them. Yes, it would be nice, wouldn't it?
So the plan is actually at the moment when you do the Alt H thing, how it pulls it out into a box, that is a stopgap because eventually they actually want you to be able to walk around and have the helmet on your hip, like how people do in the movies, you know, like with the X-Wing pilots or whatever, walk around with their helmet on the hip. That's what it'll be. You'll be able to have your helmet in your hand and walk around with it in your hand, essentially.
Now, Chris, Execute would say it's been the Star Citizen drought period all year. So
yeah, if you, I literally said if you take Citizen Con out of it, because we're coming to the end of Squadron 42, there's not really much new to talk about.
Yeah, and yes, they have talked about display cases and armor stands for to put your armor on in your hangar. I'd like to see those types of things and ammo racks where I can display my amp. You know,
Chris is saying jaded, and I'm not jaded. I'm just being realistic because I worked in the industry and that's just how it works. You know, you guys would have heard the term the last 10% takes 90% of the time. That last 10% is just a really quiet period because you're you know, that they essentially come out of yeah, pretty much. And they said at CitizenCon last year, it's feature complete. That told me they're now in that last 10%. They're you know, they're working out all the bugs, they're getting all that, they're smoothing it all out, getting ready for launch.
And when you look at the stuff they're adding, like you read the monthly reports and see stuff they're adding, and it's fluff stuff. We're adding extra animations for the behind the scenes characters, or we're adding extra you know, bylines, so just that for the background characters, just to make the place feel more alive.
Well, the fact that they even moved half of the staff over to Star Citizen tells you that as well.
You know, so it's all of those types of things, but it does mean it is unfortunately slow.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it'll kick off a lot. Like you think about it, like once Squadron releases, all the shit that they'll be able to talk about, all the shit they did over the last 10 years. Like it's just going to be a floodgate of information when it finally comes out. So this whole quiet before the storm, the dam bursting analogies, all that type of stuff. So when people say the bursting of the dam and they mock it, it's not just the game coming out, it's all the information as well that's going to come out. One of the reasons why Algared and I wanted so much to be at the release, not just because it was, you know, the end of a journey, so to speak, was also that we'd be able to, the developers would be able to talk for the first time. Because once it's out, they can actually speak on this shit.
Yeah. So, Limited Respawn says, yeah, but the stands aren't the same thing, though. And I get what you mean. You want the ability to place the helmet on the table and for it to be a helmet, like placing the mug. And that's different from a display stand. But and I think down the track, we'll see that. But at the moment, as Nick said, it's just a stopgap. Or hopefully it's just a stopgap.
Yeah, so Zarek Masters says, don't they have a documentary coming out shortly after release? Yeah, I think that's a part of why Disco's been keeping the quality of the video up so high, because he wants it to be used for the documentary. But yeah.
Apparently I never showed a picture of my completed PC.
Actually, do you mind if I show off that picture that you sent me and Billy in last week? Because I thought that was really cool. Look, I'll show you, and then you tell me if you're happy for me to show them. It's your. Oh shit! No, I got it caught. Hang on, I have to close that, and then I'm gonna have to reopen it. That's really annoying. It got caught, but there it is. That Algared. Can I show him that?
Oh, probably not, but yeah, I suppose.
Well, it's up to you. If you don't want him to see it, I won't show him. Because
horrible bottles in the cabs as well.
Oh no, not an empty bottle. It's a bottle of water. It's not exactly like Jack Daniels or anything. All right. So this is Algared taking a photo of where he sits. So this is where he's sitting right now. That's his setup. And I just thought that was kind of cool because it just kind of shows you the shit that me and him sit under. And I'm gonna be honest, Algared, you'd admit yours is a lot tidier than mine. I've got way more shit in my area than you've got in yours. So you can see his nerdy book library up here. But yeah, so that's what Algared's dealing with. So yeah, that's why we're under these bright lights, and it feels like we're tanning because we've both got the same lights. So yeah.
And those lights are what 1%. 1% of their ability.
So his little. This is where your Twitch is set up here, isn't it?
That is where Twitch is set up. Yep.
This is his Jack Daniels he was talking about, right? So yeah, that's what he's worried about. He's got his little stream. Man, your stream deck doesn't look as good as mine. I got way more.
Yeah, well, you know,
and arrows on mine. And there's your PC case over there behind your head. If you rotate a little bit off to the side, there you go. So you can.
Yeah.
He's got his new PC there, and his microphone camera. And because he's got this,
you can't see the beautiful wood lining of the origin lining of the PC case, but
yeah,
I'm sure you
maybe we'll get you to take a photo and we'll post it up on the community page of the YouTube. But yeah, he's got this old antique desk, so we had to buy him this. This is essentially like a frame that sits on his desk, so because he couldn't clamp it to the desk, and yeah, just everything attaches to that frame.
So that's a newer frame.
Yeah.
Actually, the camera, the one that enables you to have the camera looking down. But I've got my Rode Streamer X attached to it. I've got my lights attached to it. The microphone attached to it. The camera attached to it.
Yep.
It solves all manner of attachment problems.
Yeah, mine's a lot more complicated than that. I've got 3 monitors and everything. My room is way more packed in than ours. It's like he's got space
and sometimes I also pull out the phone and use the phone to check stuff as well. So, but yeah, the old iPad works as the that was being pulled out when I was doing that. That actually really got used when my computer was dead. So the iPad and the phone were how I was streaming. It was
so Zarek Masters replied, but the bot squished it because he typed all in capitals. But he said, "What the fuck, a bottle, Algared? Disgusting." Yeah, that's actually got water in it. Yeah, it's not even empty. How gross.
I know. For Vandalay, thank you for that $15 of coffee money.
Yeah, thank you, Arthur. I really appreciate it. Not required.
Love the little emoji kitten fan thing doing whatever it's doing. But yeah.
I think it's trying to dance, Algared. That's what it looks like.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, anyway, because we had a bit of a talk with Billion before and after recording.
We gave him grief about his green screen.
Well, I think we were trying to help him. Yeah, I think that kind of started, but we're trying to help him improve it and stuff like that. And he learned very quickly, and hopefully we've helped him, up his game a little bit. And because again, it's passing on things we've learned over the time we've been doing this, and we do that a lot, don't we? Because we always want to help other people improve as well. Big thing I will tell you right now. If you're ever wanting to get into green screen stuff, we get questions about it all the time because ours look better than anyone else's by a country mile, and it's right there in this picture. It's the lights, right? You can have a shit green screen behind you, like whatever. The green screen does help, but if you really want to spend money, spend them on the lights. It's how it's lit. It's got nothing to do with the it does a little bit because you're obviously gonna have creases and stuff in it. Like the one me and Algared we use a plastic one now, so it's very smooth. But again, even when I was using the fabric one, wasn't it, Algared? The lights make the biggest difference. Yeah,
well, even I was using the fabric one until this year, and it was the same. The lights make the difference, and the way we've got our lights set up, they're actually not on me.
Yeah,
they're actually more on the screen behind. So we're lighting the screen. And cutting up the shadow that would be causing rather than lighting us up particularly.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that statement. And Zarek's right as well. Shadows are the enemy of green screens. Absolutely. But the other thing, I even have separate lights for my face because of my hat. See, so yeah,
because it is very bright. Like if we turn these up as bright as they go, it is like.
All right. I think that's enough content creator shit for one day. I always feel bad when we talk about it because I feel like we drag people into our little woes. Hey, I'm here for stuff. This is not about your personal shit.
But the other thing is, if you're interested in going into content creation or even streaming, I would say the thing you want to focus on first is your sound, your mic.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we get more complaints about that than anything, don't we? Yeah.
If you don't have a good mic, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good your background is, or how good your lighting is, or how good your screens are.
Yeah, And you'd agree with that
people.
too, Algared. There's a lot more hardware for video stuff and a lot less hardware for sound. Sound has been way more of a learning curve for us
Yeah,
than graphics, because there's just not hard. Like, you've got to buy some kind of really expensive sound thing to pull it off, like a Go XLR or what Algared's got. Was it a Rode
I got the Rhodes
Stream
Stream Rec.
Rex? And then there's, like, I know Morph has got like a Rode
Mm.
pasta or whatever it's called, the bigger
Oh, they've got.
one. And
Oh,
and there are people that
yeah,
have got like the Go XLR minis, so there is plenty of all these ones
yeah.
in the spectrum there, but they are
But
very expensive for what they are,
yeah,
usually more expensive than some of the video cards out there,
yeah.
which is kind of
Well,
interesting.
the one that Morphe's got
Mm.
is, I think, $1,000 or $2,000 to get in
Yeah.
Australia.
And again, it's designed for
Um,
4 people, so it's completely overkill for what
yeah,
you need. So,
but
but
the
yeah,
difference is also, like, the Streamer X is actually made specifically for streamers because it actually
yeah,
takes the camera as well as the mic, whereas
yeah,
the Procaster only takes
the sound.
the sound, and it's 4 mics. But that also enables you to take phone calls in, and
Yeah.
um,
Looking forward to
but
that on your show soon. More phone calls.
yeah,
Oh dear. Anyway, I'm just giving him grief because he didn't need to
well,
spend that much money. That's all.
and thanks, Winner, for the compliment, and everyone else for the compliments on the setup. But
Yeah.
yeah, like, but most of his stuff is stuff we've actually acquired over time for
Again,
to make the channel better, and we've both done the same. Another lights,
well, the channel's
upgrading
now.
the mic.
I'll look. I'll do it while I'm on stream, because then we're not like,
Mhm.
So excuse my messy YouTube. It'll have all these random videos on it, right?
Mhm.
This is not our own personal ones, right? So we are currently at 717 videos. I didn't even know we'd passed 700.
Yeah,
But we'll have to do something for 1,000. We'll have to kind
yeah.
of plan it.
And if you look at, and we've probably been on over 500 of them. So
we came on like episode 25.
that long.
Yeah. So literally in like what 8 videos, we've been here for 700. So yeah, we didn't start the channel, but we
No.
definitely have. It's definitely ours now. Put it that way. So yeah.
Yeah.
We took it over at. I took it over at episode 75 because I just had more free time than Hayes. And yeah,
Yep.
you can actually go back and look at the videos. Like they all went from the same thumbnail to all the thumbnails chaining. Yeah,
Yep.
it started improving once I took it over.
Well,
From a graphic point, I mean.
Chris makes a comment about mentioning sound and seeing where our mic is. It is a good mic.
Well, we got Paul the same one, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, and part of the advantage of these mics is you don't have to have them on screen. So a lot of people end up, doing the
So we
mic and doing that.
Yeah, well, that's what you got to do with the Shure mic. So anyone that you see that's got a Shure SM7B is that one you see really commonly. They've all got to talk on it. Like, for example, Asmongold uses it, right? And you'll always see him adjusting his microphone, or anyone that uses that mic, they're always re-pulling it back in front of the mic. This mic, the reason why we got this one is it's a shotgun microphone and you can have it off screen. And that's why we took money that we got from the channel and we gave it to Paul as well, because Paul's on the channel enough that we felt we'd never given him anything. We thought, we're gonna give him something. And it's the same thing with Space is big enough and ugly enough now that he makes more money than any of us. But same thing there.
But so the mics we've got, they've got the cardioid pattern. They're not actually shotgun; they are cardioid. So they cut out the sound from the rear. They do pick up less sound to the sides, but mainly to the front. So you can have them slightly off. But they're just solid mics, and they're Rode. And I love Rode. I love Rode mics. They're Australian made. These mics that I'm using the Podcaster at the moment. I do have a broadcaster as well. The pod mics are dynamic mics. The broadcaster is a condenser mic, but they have 10-year warranty. This is a $200 mic or a $150 mic. I can't remember what, but 10-year warranty. You don't get that with Shure mics, and even their top of the line model is $498 or $500. 10-year warranty.
I think, like,
And it,
realistically, I look between the two. There's only a 5% difference in
yeah.
quality at best, but the big difference between the two was this distance thing where you can talk,
Mm.
and I will take that not having it on.
Oh,
How many do you see this? You used to see that
yeah.
with Paul all the time too. He'd always have his arm in, and so you'd just see this arm in screen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, at the end of the day, we're talking about a content creator thing, so we should get
Yeah.
back to Star Citizen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
But
yeah,
yeah,
we
but
okay, 120 month insurance. Yep. Yep.
yeah. Last thing I'll put it this way, Algared, is it's also a part of where you live, right? Because it's an Australian-made microphone and we live in Australia, it's cheaper for us to buy this than it is to buy
Yep.
the Shure. And the ironically funny thing is, by the time you ship the microphone to the States, they're roughly the same price in the States. But here, they're literally half the price.
Yep.
So it's just, it makes so much more sense. Like,
But
me and Algared can get a microphone each rather than just a mic for one of us. So yeah.
but I tend to find that the well, actually our mics we've actually bought individually
Yes, but
each time. But
the price.
rather than
I'm talking about the price.
the price. Yeah.
Anyway,
But the beauty of them is that 10-year insurance, that 120-month insurance, that like the LTI. Yep. What is it? The
okay. Santa Truck says, question: how close do you think we are to 4.0 realistically? Yeah. Again, I think it's I think the plan is CitizenCon.
Yep.
That's where I kind of think it is. And yes, it may came before then, but I think that's kind of was their intention, is to kind of have it out by then, because that's what they talked about. Everything that they're trying to say, everything that's at this CitizenCon, we want you to have before next CitizenCon. That's what they said, yeah. So that's their intent. That's what they're trying to do. That's their best laid plan, and that's all you can really go by, is what they tell us, yeah.
Yeah. And I know we say it all the time. It feels like we say it all the time. They tell us where they think they're going. It's the old let's design a space whale. Yeah. And it's that team managers looking at how long it takes and asking the team, how long do you think it's going to take you for this? And the team saying, oh, look, last time we did something, it took us this long. And saying, okay. And planning out how long. That's how they plan it out. And sometimes they hit it right on the money. Sometimes they finish early, and sometimes they hit a snag and they go, strike, I have no idea where this bug is, what's going on with this bug. I can't find it. And it's like that one bug. You remember the bug where ships used to explode for no reason at all. And they worked out, it was as you were being jostled in your ship, you'd hit the ship. And every time you hit the ship, you'd do 1 point of damage, 1 point of damage, 1 point of damage. And eventually you'd do 1 point of damage, and that'd be enough to blow up a ship. But it took them ages to find that. It was just one of those bugs that they couldn't work out what was causing it for ages. Well, sometimes that's the thing that delays it.
Yeah, we had that. I remember being on a stream with Space Tomato and Astropub, and the Redeemer just exploded for no reason. So I know that's.
Yep.
Yeah, I know that one firsthand.
So.
Yeah. Zerek Master says, you got more to say? How do you guys feel about the changes to jump points, and do you think CIG will take full advantage of the economy and multiplayer opportunities with unstable jump points, or transient jump points, I think is what their technical term is, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I actually think the jump point changes, in some cases, the only one I've heard so far actually came from Paul, where now that we essentially have normal jump points between all places, it's no longer, Stanton's no longer makes sense from a law perspective, because it would no longer be an economic hub anymore, because it's actually shorter to go other ways. Yeah.
It is the economic hub specifically because of the 4 mega Earths which have been sold off to the corporations.
Yeah, but
turned into a mega hub.
But it was you'd have to go talk to Paul. But I remember him talking about it on stream yesterday, and he was just saying it had something to do with the way also the jump points weren't, because it was medium and small jump points, and you needed to transfer between those. But now, because they're all the same size, it doesn't make sense, because you'd go a different way because it's shorter.
Yes, but
yeah.
you look at Hurston. Hurston are in the poo because they're strip mining the planet and not giving a damn about pollution. They couldn't do those practices on Terra.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to you and Paul arguing it out on your law podcast. I will listen to that.
They can do that on the planet that they own.
Yeah.
Or they can test their weapons on the moon they own. You know, so.
Yeah. All right, we'll have to get you and Paul on there to argue it out because it sounds like you don't agree with him. So we'll see. It'll be the law showdown.
I can see the argument, but it's out of the way. And
Algared versus Astro, a fight for the ages. And I expect to see the thumbnail like those. You know those. I always want to do one with me and you actually, like with where they go.
Yeah, the
fight, you know, the fight night ones or like the Mortal Kombat ones. So you and Paul on and it's just like, I want that. So it's you on one side, Astro versus Algared, the lore off, like like all the little thumbnail titles. That would be funny. Yeah. I'll make it Paul's problem. That's not my problem. That'd be great. Paul can take him for a while. We've got to look after this old guy. He's falling to pieces. We're gonna have to keep an eye on him.
Oh. Yeah.
All right.
So I think that's that question done.
Yes.
Kishkin, did they say how the hangar instances will work? They spoke about 2-player spawning ships in Hangar 5 and having different instances. So how can random people get into your hangar?
They follow in the elevator. They also showed that in the episode as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So if someone's in the elevator with you, don't go down to your hangar.
Yep.
Like that would be my view. If they click the button to the elevator, isn't it going to take them to their elevator?
Well, the other thing is there's multiple elevators. Get out.
Yeah.
Or what you could do is do them and go to the wrong hangar.
Yeah.
And they get out, then you get back in, type of thing, or whatever, or just stuff with them, If you know they're there, stuff with them. It's pretty, let's be honest, how daft would you have to be in a 5x5 foot room and not know that there's someone there? So that's the other part of it. They are very laggy on the Evo build at the moment. Yes, I'll give you that. But again, that will improve. You have to you got to look at things from a release perspective, not a now perspective. And again, look at all the performance improvements we've had. You've got to assume that's going to continue, and we're going to get a very optimized game before release. I know some people don't have that foresight, but you can look back, so therefore you can kind of analyze and look forward.
It's a bit like the old, you'd get onto you'd be in a no flight, a no combat zone, and you'd have someone board your ship, and you'd stay in the area, you'd stay in the armistice zone, and say, hey guys, and you'd call out your friends, and your friends would come by, or you'd, so it's I think if you know that people are there, you don't go down and go, hey, oh look, here's my hangar. Oh yeah, you're going to kill me. If you don't know them, don't take them to your hangar. Like, yeah.
That's basically it. Rainfall Joker says lawful evil option. So he's a D&D player, you can tell. Let them in your hangar and they are trespassing and you can shoot them. Yeah, but they can also shoot you back.
Yep.
Oh, I can see what he does. He goes, oh, I'm a new player. Here, come on, new player. I'll show you the ways of Star Citizen. Die. He's going to take him into the back alley and mug him.
Oh, joy. Here, I get his starter gear.
Oh, he just looks griefing.
Yeah. Citizen Ninja, do you think we'll see the Fat Fury by SitCon or at IAE?
Yeah, it kind of makes logical sense, doesn't it? Like, well, we've essentially got Ship Showdown, Citizen Con, and IAE left.
Yeah,
right.
And how many ships of a Yellow Curtain we got left to see?
I think you would. Well, I can put it into a poll, but the advanced starter, or what you and I assume is an advanced starter, I think that safely is at the end of the year because that's where the Cutters come out, the Pisces come out, all, the CNR, like all those starters always come at the end of the year for AIE. So I think that's the safe bet. Yeah, you'd agree with me on that one?
I think we've got both ships coming. So yeah,
No. My question is, if you have a starter ship
yeah,
going
that's
on their trajectory of where they usually sell
yeah,
starter ships,
yeah,
would you agree with me that that would be AIE?
yeah,
So that leaves Ship Showdown and Citizen Con.
yeah.
So I don't think you're going to really see a new ship at Ship Showdown because it's about the older ships, right? It's about the
Mm-hmm.
skins and things like
Yep.
that. So I take that out of it. 324, the new ship for that, which is kind of what we're waiting for, is clearly the Saber Peregrine, which will be the Saber Falcon. I'm pretty sure it's a
Mm-hmm.
placeholder. So therefore, the only other place is Citizen Con. Guardian's got to be coming at Citizen Con, and they want a big ship at Citizen
And
Con, as in a cool ship, and that is a cool ship.
now the only other thing that comes into that is, again, John Crew's comment about all those ships on the Yellow Curtain coming by the end of the year. And
Yep.
my question would be, how many of those haven't we got yet? But you go through that curtain, and that'll give you those 7 ships that they're working on.
Well, that's it. That's all that's left.
Mm.
The advanced start, or what you and I call the advanced starter. I keep saying that because we could be wrong, but like I'm pretty sure it's an RSI advanced starter because we don't have one from RSI. They're the oldest manufacturer in the game. Been working on RSI all year. It makes sense.
It sends the size of an advanced starter, just looking at the size of the person, to other things. We say RSI just because they are working on RSI, just so it makes sense.
And it's the same thing. If you're going to release the Zeus at CitizenCon, we know the ST is a thing, right? Because they showed it on the poster. Then all of a sudden you're putting out a ship, but the Guardian at CitizenCon, and the only 2 ships you can have is combat and racing. The Zeus and the Guardian lining up together all of a sudden make a lot of sense because you've got 2 racing ships that can compete against each other. Oh, and by the way, we're giving you jump points at the same patch.
So
it all lines up.
I think the idea from when they first said that about the ships coming, the Polaris was on that list, and I think they were looking at, even then, because we know from things we'd heard that they were looking at Squadron 42s coming next year at CitizenCon, and that's when I think they were looking at we'll release the Polaris at CitizenCon. That's my thought. But
all right, what I'll do is, someone's asking me what the Guardian is. Let's bring up Silhouette, the tinfoil hat video. I gotta go back for the question mark. I'm looking for the question mark. Hang on, give me a second.
And
don't go on to the next question.
Going on Citizen Ninja's question about the Fat Fury, Chris said, "Fat Fury, is that name going to stick?"
No. So that's what the Guardian is. So the Fat Fury and the Guardian is the same thing, right? So me and Algared were in tinfoil hats when we went through this. So I'm just going to skip to the ones that have relevance. So like if we go through, right, Mirai Pulse when it loads. I'm going to have to mute this because otherwise it'll have us talking, right? So the Mirai Pulse has been done. I need to see how this looks because there's going to be a double up. Yeah, I'm covering myself. You're covering yourself. That works really well, actually. Right, so I've got the Mirai Pulse, Medical Ursa, once it loads, done. MPUV Tractor, which we've now had. This is what we think is the RSI Advanced Starter. You can clearly see cargo in the video. This is a staircase.
And behind Execute's head is the human side.
Yeah, there's a little person. We basically took that person and laid them sideways. A standard male character in video games is 1.8 meters tall. It's just a standard metric as they do. So I'm taking some assumptions here, but roughly that makes this 23.6 meters long, which makes it a small vehicle, which lines it up with an advanced starter from RSI. Again, having cargo that is very akin to what you'd see in a 315p, an Avenger, a Reliant Core, etc., etc. So it's this one that we're going to look at, and which is where you can see how long we talked about in the video. And then this is the Fat Fury, which again is a medium ship. Doing you can only just see the person here behind my head. If I can't do both screens at once, sadly, because of where I'm sitting. But yeah, just behind my head there, you can You can
You can
see,
see the person.
again, and laying it sideways. I forget the measurement exactly, but it basically clearly made it a medium, which
But
is Zeus Freelancer Cutlass spirit sized.
if you go back and look at that, even the original Star Citizen video or even R1, that person is there for every ship, and so it gives you a really good scale for the ships.
The problem is it's a part of a ship talk panel that goes for like an hour, and it's like this 5-minute segment, so it's a real pain in the ass to find.
Yep.
So I always come back to this video because it's just easier to go through.
Yep.
But again, you can clearly tell that that's Mirai inspired. And someone did do a concept of it. Where is it? If I go to, God damn it, if I go back to the channel, I did do a short of it. That would be the quickest way to find it. This one.
Yep.
And cut it. You can't, can you pause shorts? There we go. God, man, look how much I've aged in just a short period of time. But yeah, that was a concept someone did of it. So this is player made, but that roughly gives you a 3D conceptualization of what it could look like. I think it's a bit smoother than that, obviously, not as rough, because the Mirai stuff is a bit smoother. But again, like I said, Mirai at the moment, the only two ones they have because of the performance thing is combat and racing. So if you take that and put it into this ship, if you're getting a racer that's medium, a Zeus ST that's a medium, I think at CitizenCon, that's what we're going to get. We're going to be getting all the Zeus ST will be a surprise thing. This will drop, and this will also do racing. Oh, and by the way, we've got jump points. So now you can do this long distance endurance racing. And I also think 2 of the variants, because they're mentioned in the monthly reports, working on new variants. Now, I don't know what ones they are, but I reckon say something like a Freelancer, a Cutlass, Spirit, and I'm also going to chuck the 400i in there as well, because that's same type of class thing as races. And so then all of a sudden you go from having the Zeus ST is the only one we know about that's a medium racer, but all of a sudden you've expanded that to 4 ships that can now race in a long distance racing thing. And so other than just the racing we've had, which is essentially these loops, it changes the field, Algared. Well, you tell me, Algared, you do stuff with the Crux Cup. How much does that drastically change your what you guys do at the Crux Cup?
I don't think it changes the Crux Cup, because Crux Cup is, endurance racing anyway. It just adds to more ships.
But is that something you would add to your lineup now, an in-universe race?
It certainly is. Like Crux Cup takes every, has freelancers and not freelancers, has whole seas and you name it. The last one we had 890 jumps. So, but I think what it does do is once you get jump points, it gives the opportunity to do a cannonball run.
Yeah.
And I think, so you've got the going between the systems, and you need weapons on ships if you're going through dangerous systems. And even if you look at the Murray Cup was live fire, and you could shoot at the other ships and do stuff. So
I fully expect some developer's going to get up on stage, like John Crew or something like that, or Ben Curtis, something to go. And this, in the worst kept secret of CIG history, here's the Zeus ST. I reckon that's how it's going to be. Someone's going to say that. So it just makes sense. You're putting out the Zeus. It wasn't really ready for prime time, as in the racing. So someone at marketing decided to hold it over, but when they retracted it, they weren't able to retract everything back in time. And again, I'm connecting multiple dots here, so only one of them doesn't have to connect, and it doesn't happen. But it just makes a lot of sense. But again, I could be wrong, and I'll admit if I'm wrong. But, I'll say it now. I could be wrong. But knowing that they've got to come out, intended by within the next 12 months. Yeah. You kind of can't, taking logic out of it, that's the only one that can come out at CitizenCon.
Yeah, and the other thing that John Crew had said, all those ships in that video, plus more would come. So we've now had the Ironclad as well. We've had, and I can't remember what else we've had, but, but the only other ship that I think is on that list that we haven't got in our dirty little hands yet is the Polaris. I can't think of any others. Really there.
Well, yeah, the Polaris, the Fat Fury, and the Advanced Starter.
Hmm.
So yeah, they're the only 3 left.
So
Yep. I hope that answers
So,
your question. Very long-winded, I know, but as we come up to that window, it is important to go back over those. So thanks for the question. What's wrong with you?
Citizen Ninja, with Nix pretty much complete with only polishing remaining, do you think we'll see Nix within the 2-3 patches after Pyro? Yep. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Nix and Pyro at the same time. I think that it's that time of close, because that gives you, once you add Nix and Pyro, you end up with a cannonball run.
I'm kind of more with what Paul said. Paul reckons we'll get it like 6 months after, like within the first half of next year. And I'm kind of with Paul on that. I think you kind of want to get one extra system in, get it stable. And then once that's stable, I think it'll then more likely be more rapid after that. So, I reckon by, say, the end of next year, we'll probably could be at the 5 systems they were talking about.
Yeah. I think with Nix, depending on how close they are to Nix being done, and depending on how long it takes them to get the jump points done, if it takes them longer than they're truly anticipating, then I could see them possibly doing those 3 those 2 together, but only because while they're ironing out the problem with jump point, they're polishing up that next system, and if it takes too long, once they've got the jump points ironed out, maybe go, may as well put them both in. But other than that, you want to get, you start small and you get it stable and then you build on it. And if you look at what Star Citizen's done constantly, that is CIG's modus operandi. They go stable, expand. So
yeah, you can kind of see though, like Paul elaborated on it a lot better than I'm going to elaborate on, but that there's different systems have come in with different systems. And I just realized it's the same thing twice there. So different game systems come in with different in-game universe systems, right? So you've had a lot of like effects and stuff like fire and the room system and stuff like that. And then when you go into Nix, it's got other things that come in with it and stuff like that. So they're using those systems to also essentially double up gameplay systems is what I'm trying to get into. So we've kind of seen it. But I'm interested, like, again, something else we can actually have a look at and break down. Now I'm thinking about it. Just give me a second. Sorry, I got a cat on my lap, so all of a sudden I've slowed down. So if we change this to, excuse me, I know you're gonna look like this because I'm leaning over you. But if we go to the roadmap, they put the new stuff on there. So we actually do have. Got to go to the right view. They've got 4.0 on here, tentative for Q3. Now, Q3, Algared, is September. So this is probably the most uninteresting one, which is just additional player customization. But this is essentially doubling the size of Pyro. So now I ask the question: does that mean it? Which one is jump points coming in, and jump points 4.0? That's why all these others are coming in, because they're filling out Pyro.
And that looks like I would say, given that we're no longer, and this is based on the idea that originally they were planning to do Squadron at CitizenCon, that now that Squadron has been moved from CitizenCon, and I think that the gala is the thing that indicates that jump points are CitizenCon.
Yeah, I'd kind of agree with you on that as well.
So that's what we're going to see at CitizenCon. That's my guess. Does it mean we won't see anything on Squadron? No. That just means that it's not going to be the big thing. Oh, we've got the quasi-cow.
So nothing spectacular there that we haven't seen.
Well,
but again, it was 12 months ago, so it had to come in.
The quasi-cow. Remember they said on the video, everything in that video we were going to see, including and people would say, oh, we don't have animals and we don't have a cow.
So this is what I meant by effects, though. See, look, fire hazards, solar bursts, life support, engineering. It's all room system and effects that can affect you within rooms, within your ship, and that type of thing. And I think that's what Pyro is bringing in. Ships and vehicles, obviously, got the Zeus cells being added.
We need limited respawns. We need an ice cave with the Yeti,
Yep.
or at least an arm of the Yeti.
Yep.
Just for that Star Wars Easter egg.
Yeah. So
or a lightsaber on the ground.
So multi-tool updates, the charging and drain, so essentially batteries for multi-tool, and now fire switches, which makes sense because we've also now got fire. And the last one I go over to is Cortex. So this is the big one. So server meshing V1, mission systems refactor, which is again we've been expecting this because of server meshing. It's one of the biggest things that are hidden behind server meshing. And the transit system refactor, reworking the transit system for server meshing compatibility. Because if you think about it, you're essentially can be on a train and also being going between servers. So that's why it's such a big thing, and it had to come after server meshing because obviously you're moving the system over. So initially, servers won't cut cities in half, but once that's in, you'll be then able to cut cities in half.
And that will mean cities will no longer be lag points.
Yes.
Like, could you imagine, World of Warcraft without laggable cities?
Yeah, and you'd be able to cut let's just take Orgrimmar, you'd be able to cut it in half, and so each auction house would be a different server, and that would fix a lot of problems.
Games suddenly get a new lease of life just because of server meshing.
Yeah,
like every game.
Yeah,
suddenly. So yeah, it's when we say this, the server meshing thing is big and you've got to do it right. We're not BSing you. It is big.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Oh, look. As we're in the eye of the storm or the quiet period, I have no doubt the people that are here watching know that. Because the people that tend to watch at this period are the more hardcore, so they know how they've been riding the storm with us, Algared. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
They know. They know. All right, next question, please, Algared.
So, Irate Caveman, how much do the Tadurant RV new features of 3.24 for new players? In my opinion, veterans will acclimate, but it's another drawback for the casual player, new players.
I think initially people are going to hate certain things about how the cargo refactor works, but I think also at the same time they're going to appreciate it because it's just at a different level that other games don't have. There's I'm thinking back to when the ED developers for Elite and Dangerous literally said, "Oh, nobody would want to walk around on their ships."
And
CRG's like, "Here, hold my beer." It seems that way now, but I can tell you, having been on Eva Cardi, it's just so much more visceral, and it just adds something to it, and it's so much more meaningful because you now have this time factor where your time becomes valuable, and that's why me and Algared did an episode on it, because it is clearly going to be like they talked about escorting cargo for years, right? And there was never, ever a reason why. And if you've got to spend an hour to load your ship, or let's just say even 15 minutes to load your ship, you're not going to want to do that again. So you're going to hire an escort.
Valuable resource.
Yeah. And so escorts are going to be a very real thing because when you make people invest their time, that's the one thing people won't let you stuff with. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. I can see that.
Again, it could be so Real Tech in Twitch chat, YouTube chat is saying that Torpedo will be delayed to Q4. No way, it's out for October. Again, we don't know. Yes, they could be being really optimistic, but again, we don't know what's going on in the background. We are only seeing the latest build. How far is that build right behind the other one? We do not know.
Yeah.
Right. And again, they're in the system. Even if say it does get delayed, I don't mind. I really don't. Because, again, at the end of the day, it's the quality of the game that I want.
Limited Respawn says the payouts for cargo weren't high enough for escorts. And, yeah, that might be true. But if you're putting in an hour to load your ship, then, people are already complaining if they lost their money just for a crash or being stolen. If you're losing so much time where you're loading your ship, and that time is valuable to you, you'll take such a small. I'll make a small profit margin. I'll reduce my profit margin just to get through.
And the other thing is, cargo prices are going to be dynamic, and also changing a number is so much easier than changing a line of fundamental way a system works. Again, if you look at there were certain content creators when they got into Evocati that were complaining about and I brought it up multiple times over the last couple of weeks, that it took the same amount of time to load the cargo no matter the size of the container. And I'm like, that's so obviously for a testing environment. And what do you know? Chad was talking about that on the ISC. Yeah, we when it came out, and he explained all that. It was so obvious that it was just so they could test it and get it to work, and then worry about the numbers later, because the numbers are done by the economy team, not by the gameplay team.
It is clearly a frustration, but there's some who shouldn't be doing the Evocati just because of their stupidity and lack of understanding. And
I hope they learn and improve. I'll leave it at that. But some content creators lean into that negativity, and I don't think it's required.
So, no, I don't. I hate those who do, but yeah. Anyway, Ray of the 1-2, or so Ray. Yeah,
don't read it. He just said where to put a question. All right, Zarek Masters is the next one. No, he said how to write a question. Right. Oh God, there's a whole bunch of questions. Because you put questions in all your things, they've all come through. Question.
No, you don't have to put a question in front. You just have questions anywhere.
Yeah. What new animal do you expect to release at CitizenCon? Is it Quasi Grazer? I think we just looked at that.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. I have no reason why, but I have an inkling it's going to be the Quasi Grazer for some reason.
Yeah, I think the Quasi Grazer. Yeah.
And
that actually makes them fulfill their promise last year that everything in the video will be in within the next year.
Yep. And I think the only other one then that was in the video would be the Stalwart, the Crusader, the Space Whale.
Yep.
And then I think the one after that would have to be the Space Crab for Nyx itself.
Yeah. I don't think the Pyro Space Crab was in the video.
No, it was not in the video. But I'm saying, like, if you've now got, if you've done all the animals you were talking about in Stanton, you then talk about.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you technically need the Yeti as well. What is it? What's the Yeti called? You know the name, not me.
Yep. The Boreal Stalker.
Yeah, that one. And then that would come before the next crab. But yeah.
It would, but again, unless it was shown in the video of it walking around and doing stuff.
Yeah, I'm talking about after that. You brought that up 3 times now. I'm talking about after. I'm talking about the order. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I'm talking about something completely different, and you're missing that. Yeah.
I'm just making sure that we're just picking up the things that they said to do, that they do, so.
Yeah.
Will they release Vandal ships at Squadron 42 release time? Yes, I expect so.
Yeah, it'd
be from Ray Theon 2.
Big money raiser. And I think you probably would have seen that at CitizenCon if the game had been releasing, but I'm pretty sure the game's not releasing now. But again, that gives them another opportunity to do another sale at another time. I still think we'll see Squadron 42 before Q1 next year, just based on financials. They have to have certain things out by a certain time period. Actually, now I think about it, that actually does something. There's an episode there I got to remind me after stream. I just had an idea. Yeah. All right, next one. We've only got 4 questions left. God, this is gonna be a quick. What are we up to? We're not even at 2 hours yet. Okay. 4 questions, and the stream will be over.
We'll be at 8 o'clock. We'll be at about 8, I reckon, maybe.
But we're not going to get to 9. We're not going to get to 9.
We won't get to 9 at this rate. No.
Yeah.
So Zaydef says, how will jump drives help us, since it looks like all ships can jump through wormholes? If you don't have a jump drive, you can't jump through a wormhole, regardless of whether you can fit.
We actually went into game last stream. I can do it again if you want, Algared. Do you want me to go into game?
Yeah, go in game again and show the slots for.
Yeah.
So a ship without a slot and a ship with a slot.
Yeah. So the only ones I know that I own is a Carter and a 400i. Man, this will be the first time I've loaded up live in a while. I almost loaded up Evocati. Almost.
Oh, that would have got you in the
that would have got me in big trouble. But we'll see. So yeah. All right. Do you want to do the next one, and then we'll come back to Zaris then?
Yep. So Damon says, what ship is the Guardian? I've not heard of that one. That is the Fat Fury.
Yep.
As we saw from the Yellow Curtain, we've probably answered that way earlier, and you probably saw that answer, but it is the commonly called the Fat Fury, the big mirror ship.
I think that was the lines of code they found for it, but whether that is the final name, who knows? But you know, Fury, Guardian it does sound kind of Mirai. So we'll have to wait and see. Right, I'm just sitting here waiting for the game to load up, so you'll have to.
Yes, that's all he's doing.
Yep.
Oops, wrong one. I don't want to do that. I want to do that and turn that off. Jake Raven says, question, Legionnaire.
Yeah, we're down to our last 2 questions, by the way, so if you'd like to get some in. Otherwise, we will end the stream early today, which I don't have a problem with. But,
yep.
Right, shit, I clicked the wrong button. Now, I don't know if it's going to flick over. It did. Cool, sweet.
It did.
Right. Yep. So the Legionnaire, yeah, they were... I was going to answer in a really weird way and go, oh yeah, they were soldiers in the Roman Empire. Yeah, not being worked on because the gameplay team did not hook up with the ship team, and so they've basically, it's the one that won't be in the yellow ship video. They did talk about it probably about a month or so ago now, but it just means it's the only one they've come out and said it won't make the 12-month window. And it's fairly far along. It's just it won't be finished in time because it doesn't line up with the gameplay. Again, they've come out and said they want to release ships with their gameplay because hacking essentially got pushed back. That's why. So yeah. But yeah, again, we've got another one to look forward to for next year, and I'm pretty sure there'll be something else slotted in front of it. So there's probably another.
And I wouldn't be surprised. And I wouldn't be surprised if they show, this one didn't make it, but here is what we've got. And this is again, I'll reiterate why it's not in.
We also got other ships that we were told, you know, he did say and more, and we got other ships that we weren't expecting. I've just realized I got a cat sitting in front of me, so I got to do this diagonally. And she's really annoyed because I'm stop patting her all of a sudden.
Yeah.
She's just looking at my hand going, why is that not on my neck? You sit there, Dylan, be good. Thank you.
A wonderful planetary system there, I see.
I think I'm at Everest. I am.
You are. That's why I said it's a wonderful planetary system you're at.
All right, you want to see the cutter first, or you want to see the... I think we should do the 100i first.
Yep, because that doesn't have a jump point.
Yep, doesn't have a jump drive.
A jump drive access. Or a
ships now coming with jump points. Woof. That'd be a stellar. You don't get a hanger, you get an entire jump point when you finish.
Yeah, that's right.
Dude. All right, here we go. First world problems. All right, so 100i. Here we go. Hanger 4.
And I'll let those of you who have a few questions give you a chance to get them in.
We've got a couple more coming in.
We've got a couple more coming in. So that's good. I like that. Look, doesn't matter if we've already covered it to Jocko.
Yep.
We don't mind answering questions again if we already have.
Yep. All right, so here we have the 100i. This is one of the ones they gave us for a giveaway because I'd never buy an Origin ship. I think this was the one from Chinese New Year.
It is.
But if you go up to this front panel, which is the quantum drive on the 100i, and you open it, I'm going to have to turn my torch on here. You'll notice here, this is the quantum drive. Who was the person who asked the question? Is that Zavith? So Zavith, you can see
that... it was...
It was Zavith. It was Zavith. Okay. It was Zavith.
Yeah.
So you'll notice this is the quantum drive, but you'll notice that there's a panel up here, right? And so this is actually a standard size 1 quantum drive space, but if the ship doesn't take jump modules, they put a panel in here to block it. But what you can actually see is you can actually see the clips here. So when I now go to the cutter and look at the cutter, there will be a space above and it won't have that panel there. So you can tell that the cutter can take a jump drive, but the 100i cannot. And this is where the ships are going to start to... Again, we've said there's all these systems in the background that people are just not noticing. So a 100i is not going to be able to go through a jump point unless it's on some inside another ship, like a Liberator or something like that.
Or unless they decide they're changing it.
Yes.
And they take the panel away.
Exactly. They could take, that's exactly right, Algared. So it's easier for the developers. They'll just have something that they could turn off and on where it hides or unhides the panel. And that's it. So if we now spawn the cutter I've got here, same hangar.
That's how. This is how you can look at any ship you own, and you can actually see, does it have a jump drive, or is it currently jump drive capable?
Yep.
And because the jump drive is a module that slips above the quantum drive.
And the newer the ship, the more, you know, if you go back to older ships, they don't have the modules in and stuff like that. So it's got to be a new one, unfortunately.
And the reason it's like this is because of the law. The law is that the jump points were opened by a faulty quantum drive.
Yeah. So there's those same clips we were talking about, and you can see clearly there's a space above. And, you know, you can see there it says quantum drive. So it is a quantum drive, but this one's got space above, and that's where the jump drive will go. You can also see that even the cables behind that connect to the jump drive, you can see them go down, and there's the connector there. So it's all in there. So this thing is just waiting for its jump drive to be added as a module, and they're just not in the game yet, and we're assuming they're going to come with Pyro. But again, that's going to be another big thing when Pyro comes in. There are going to be a lot of people going, oh, I'm going to go through the... Oh, I can't go through in my ship. So there is... That's the... We're going to see some buyers remorse there. For sure.
Yep. But that goes in... That ties in with the law. The law is, you know, the first jump point was found by faulty. The very first one in the Nesso Triangle was actually a freighter had a faulty jump drive and got sucked into the jump drive, got sucked into the jump point. And then it became this Bermuda Triangle in space for ages until Nick Croshaw worked out the math and went, yep, oh, there's something special here. And then found the jump, you know, developed a faulty jump drive with RSI and or a faulty jump quantum drive with RSI and triggered the jump point, flew through it and flew back.
So Zero Play, I hope that kind of clarified that for you, mate.
So yeah.
All right. Tech Zero, I think is the next one.
Tech Zero, where are the middle salvage ship?
Yeah, good question. I think we'll probably get repair after base building. So salvage is probably a bit on the back burner for now. I think what they did with the Vulture and the Reclaimer at the end of the last year was just a stopgap until they get further down the road. I think they were kind of just annoyed at how long it had taken for them to get salvage done, and they were going to go, shit, we're going to have to delay this again. And they were like, we just can't do that. Because they're delayed and delayed. Like, it was almost like 7 years of delays. And they were just like, all right, we're just going to put something out as a stopgap, and that's what we got. And that'll just sit there until they come back to salvage. I think it'll be a while. And I think the sign of it coming back, Tech Zero, will more than likely be that medium salvage. And I think we kind of do have a little bit of a little bit of a wait, unfortunately.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see the next development of salvage come in with the next development of repair as well, because we've often said they're flip sides of the same coin.
So you'd kind of get base building, repair, and then probably back to salvage. So it's
and if you think about it, once you get base building, bases get damaged because they've talked about, you know, you blow off a door on a base, it's going to be broken until you repair it. But if you come to a base that's been absolutely smashed and you can't repair it, what do you do with it? You salvage it. So it all ties in. You can see it tying in. So Zerek Masters has a question. When do you think our beloved Gladiator will get the love it deserves? Paints, alternative torpedoes,
that's one
the
of
Mark II treatment.
That's one of the reasons we talked about it in that Ship Showdown video, because there's not many ships left that can't do skins now. and yeah, it definitely needs a bit of love. But I still love flying it, like you do, Algared.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
it is a great ship. I do love it. It does need some TLC.
Mm,
Um, I was horrified when I hated and I hate the Eclipse for having larger torpedoes than being a one-man ship.
mm,
Whereas the Gladiator needs to be a two-man ship to get the benefit of it.
mm,
And back then it had a pea shooter for the turret.
mm.
I'm glad that it's been upgunned. I'm glad its turret's now got the Spice 3s. But yeah, it really is. You can see it also being the precursor to the Hurricane and the Scorpius.
Mm.
But yeah, its torpedoes are too small. It's still, yeah, it needs love.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I also think it shows a different size class though, so it's designed it more, say maybe going after a constellation, where when you go to an eclipse, it's kind of going more up to the, the largest, so more like a Reclaimer or a Polaris. It's stepping up a class. So yeah, it is just a
my
different ship for a different role.
my frustration is that they're both carrier-borne ships, and
Yeah.
they're both so.
Yep.
Whereas I'd have liked to have seen the ships that are taking on the bigger ships be ships like the Retaliator. So you've got the
Yep.
Eclipse almost being the Retaliator replacement,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the same size as the Gladiator, and to me it's
I think there's still things that we aren't seeing in there yet. So I
yeah,
think, for example, a Retaliator can go much further in range
yep, yeah.
than an
Well,
Eclipse can. So you could go into system with an Eclipse, where sorry, it's with a Retaliator, but you're
yep,
probably more
yeah.
likely to be in system with with
Well,
Eclipse. And then when you take the Gladiator's kind of it's like essentially half the price of both of those, but again, it's tailored at smaller ships, different ships for different roles.
it, and yeah, and you can see that just in the fact that the point I made about the both Gladiator and the Eclipse being carrier-borne ships,
Yep.
as opposed to the Retaliator, but it isn't. So yeah. Kruvicus. A very nice Romanesque sounding name there. Do we know how data gameplay will work at all?
They've not really other I haven't
We
really
know
talked
that
about it too much.
data has to be sent. So
Yeah.
messages have to be sent as hard packages.
Yeah.
It's not just instantaneous. You have to send them through jump points and other stuff. It's why we have a lot of our communication satellites everywhere, because you're passing the data along.
All
But
your information from medical and exploration will be data as well. Things like that. So, I think it'll come into science a lot as well, like with the research and stuff like that. So essentially, the way I've always kind of looked at data is almost like a virtual cargo, right? So, your cargo space is your computer system.
yeah, it's the MSR with its
Yep.
computer base.
Yep.
Or the Carrack with its extra computer base.
Actually, another way to look at it would be almost like climate controlled cargo, because they will have higher power systems. So that'll probably be the determining factor of a ship like the MSR, is the power requirements to keep those computers running. And what are the detrimental things to that? So you start to think of things like EMPs, if you run out of power, shit like that. So you can start to see that they have some restrictions on them that normal cargo does not, because you can turn the power off on cargo and it just sits there in its little box, fine and dandy.
And then you've got ships like not the Hurricane, the Herald, which actually has little storage devices which you store it on, and it's like a disk drive. Just you jettison it and off it goes, or whatever. So
we haven't even got into things like when you go through a certain transient jump point, could it actually affect, like, do you want to really take data through the permanent jump points? We haven't got into that stuff. Like, what things can start to interfere with the data information? Will certain computer components protect you from data degradation or data loss?
so there's a whole pile of
none of that has been talked about.
None of it. And so we don't. There's a whole pile of stuff we don't know. And
Again,
We've really
we bring up these
just got broad brushes.
Yeah, we bring up these questions though because these are the things me and Algared think about, and we're trying to get you to think about them. Because I guarantee you, if me and Algared are doing it, CIG have thought way beyond what me and Algared will think about, and even yourselves. But again, if we crowdsource it, we're more likely to get something that shakes out of the tree.
Yep. And if I haven't thought about it, then us talking about it kind of brings it to their attention. They go, "Oh yeah." But I think it's more likely they've been thinking about those issues. I know they have to have been because they've been talking about how data gets transferred for years. It's one of the earliest things they talked about. It's not instantaneous. You have to, send it. So,
like now we have our first jump plane, Algared. We might see probes now.
Yeah.
So essentially, if I was in Pyro and Algared, and I was at Ruin Station, and Algared was at say Crusader at Horizon, and I wanted to send him a message, I would send the message. It would be transported to the station, the relay, well, the space station relay station at the Pyro to Stanton jump point. It would then be received. It would be put into a probe or drone, and the drone would then go through the jump point. It'd have to queue up now, obviously, because you've got to queue up. So there's if they're only going through every 3 minutes, you would have to wait 3 minutes to then go through the jump point. It then gets to the other side, and then it reconnects to the station there. Then the station then sends it to Seraphim, and then Seraphim would relay it down to Horizon, and then Algared would be able to go, oh, bring home some milk. Right, okay, cool, good to know.
Dang, I've already left. So yeah, and you will get those situations. You'll bring such and such a ship.
Yeah.
We're halfway there, and now we get the message. You get crap. But yeah, so lots of gameplay loops that still have to be tied in. But we know we've got 12-inch paintbrush brush strokes type idea of what they're going to do.
Yeah.
But the finer detail, not a clue.
It's why we've not heard about so many different gameplays. Like, well, we've heard a bit of science, a bit of agriculture, a bit of big game hunting, cooking. We've got no ships or real gameplay associated with any of these because they weren't needed for Squadron. Squadron is such a determining factor almost every decision they make. And every time now when I ask why, the first thing I chuck it through is the Squadron 42 lens. And it just changes your perspective instantly.
And you look at, like, I know there's elements in Squadron where you have to go through a jump point to take information back, which is basically the same idea. But we know that they haven't developed anything on the Herald more than they originally told us, or really on the computer banks of the MSR, because data, and we don't know how it's going to work.
That's probably a really good question. The way to end this question is you'll probably see another data-driven ship when data's talked about more. Because there's definitely room there for another one. Well, look at it this way. You've got the MSR that's a large. You've got the Herald that's a small. There's a medium. We know bigger ships will have computers, like the Carrack's another one that's got computers. So there's definitely a space there for a medium ship data runner. Could they chuck that into one of the racing variants? Put that back to you, because that makes a lot of sense to me.
Well, if you look at the fastest long-distance endurance racer in-game, it is the Herald.
Yep.
The Herald is, in the Crux Cup, the Herald is a class of its own because it's so fast. It just outspeeds everything else. So,
and I also think a lot of exploring ships will have computers. So we know the Carrack's got one. I would be really surprised if the Der and the Zeus ES, so when I say the Der, I mean the Freelancer Der, and the Zeus ES don't have form of computers as well.
Well, there is the Zeus, the Endeavour also has, one of its components is an advanced computer system for encrypting and decrypting data.
Yep. Absolutely.
So there's an aspect in terms of your data delivery. Is it encrypted?
Yep.
And if it is encrypted and you've captured it or picked it up, do you have the keys to decrypt it, or do you have to take it elsewhere to get it?
Actually, I just thought of another data runner that I completely forgot about, the Raven.
Yep.
That's one as well. So yeah.
Yep. I know people keep forgetting the Raven is a data runner.
Yep. I think you'll. So Xeric Masters is saying the Herald is also the only EMP resistant data runner. I think you'll find that a lot of them are going to be EMP resistant.
Yep.
And I think it'll probably come down to components. And I think it won't just be EMP. I think you'll have like electricity resistant. I think you'll have like.
I wouldn't be surprised if they are distortion resistant.
Yep, that too. That's another one. Different nebulas, different effects. Fire resistant is one that comes obviously to mind. Whole bunch of different things that you can start to see. Data as a cargo is probably going to be way more volatile than most of the physical cargo.
Yeah,
but obviously when you land, the advantage is you just go transmit and it just downloads off, so you don't have to physically unload it. You might not even have to land at a station. You can just transmit it within system.
Yep.
So
depending on how secretive it is as well.
Yep.
So and
because someone can interfere with the thing and steal it and stuff like that as well. They've talked about that as well. So yeah.
So that'll impact the wage, how much you get paid for delivering the that information. So it's either going to be highly dangerous and likelihood of fires on the ship because of heat, or it's going to be super easy and less dangerous.
Yeah. So
because of the time
So Libeta NC points out the Corsair has data X, because it's an explorer. Because like I was saying, almost every explorer ship will have some kind of data. Because anything it finds, you can save that data and then sell it.
Yep.
So yeah, that is going to be a key thing. And I'm going to be honest with you, if you really think about it, every ship will have some kind of data component. Because if you were, let me put it this way, if I am a Terrapin and I find a really cool mining node, and then I sell that to an Orion or a prospector, how does the prospector use the information? It has to be able to pull up the data to go there. So it has to have a computer that reads the data. So every ship is going to have a data component.
Every computer has, we already know every computer has computer systems on it.
Yep.
The data runners or the explorers have usually extra. And then we also know that the way we apply modules to and the other little bits to our components, they will draw on it on computer power. So if you automate a computer system that's not normally automated, that's going to draw on your computer power. So that's going to give you less ability to store data or translate data or whatever. So choices matter. And that's one of the things that has constantly been a big thing of Star Citizen. Choices matter. So, yeah. Anyway, the Jocko. With the Clipper being added to release View 4.0, do you think there is a possibility for the Zeus Mark II MR to make it out before the Bounty Hunting 2.0?
No. They don't want to release ships without their gameplay. They've said that time and time again over the last 12 months. I think it's really... Well, again, they promised the Legionnaire, and now they've delayed the Legionnaire. So they're essentially breaking a promise because that's how much they don't want to release ships without their gameplay anymore. I think that kind of shows you,
The only reason I could see them doing a Zeus Mark II MR without the bounty hunting in is if A, it can do regular cargo, B, it can do combat, C, it's got to do so much of a gameplay that's already in and be good at it to warrant it being in it without its main.
You can also look at the other Zeus, the ST. That's why they never talked about it, because there's no endurance racing over that distance. And that's why I think it'll be coming at CitizenCon, because it'll be the first time that the jump point is in. Oh, by the way, here you go. Here's some ships you can buy. Just makes sense to me.
Yep. Chris E. Been waiting for an update to see if they fixed losing your store-bought armor or your store-bought armor with the new gear computers. Has anything been confirmed yet? Not that I'm aware of.
No, but I think that's how they will do it. They'll do it through those new gear terminals.
Yep.
They'll just have. They'll have it essentially return to your storage.
If you take stuff out of there and drop it, then it's no longer there. So yeah, I can see that being the way they'll replace it.
Well, already at the moment, you'll go to a shop. So say you go to Calto or whatever. If you buy a drink, it doesn't go into your inventory anymore automatically. It goes to your storage. You have to go to your storage and then pick it up, which is a little bit annoying because you're buying it over the counter. It should just, if you've got the ability to, I think that's what quick buy is going to become. Quick buy is just going to be you pick it up, and I think buying it'll go into your inventory.
I would have thought the quick buy goes to your inventory because you're just ordering, or when you're doing the multiple buy, but when you're actually buying over the counter and picking up.
All right, now rethink that, because you actually pick it up as you buy it with quick buy. You don't do that.
Okay.
So it's the opposite.
All right.
Yeah.
I just know when I do that, if I'm at the terminal and I do the multi-buy,
Yep. Yeah. So multi-buy goes into your inventory. Quick buy goes straight into your hand. Yep.
Xeric Masters, Racing Cutlass, what color?
Red, because it goes faster.
With an S on the side. Only works for cars.
What is it
Look
called?
at that red S.
Oh, they put,
Red
yeah.
Because then it's an S cargo.
I thought you were trying to imply Superman or something, but yeah.
No. No, because when you got a red S cargo. It's an old joke.
Yeah. Boom, tish. I completely missed it. But yeah, now I think about it, there are a lot of cars that have that little red S.
Red cars.
Yeah.
They're slow. Like a snail. Zeros, based on what we discussed about jump points, and that you can find those that lead to the main jump point. In my opinion, they want to make it. Ugh, damn, I should have read that earlier. Based on what they discussed about jump points, and that you can find ones that lead to the main jump point, in my opinion, they will later make it so this can lead to other jump points and other systems. Maybe. Yeah. I think XI.
We argued back and forth about this, and I think Algared is wrong purely based on it opens up more gameplay opportunities to go the way that I'm saying. Algared seems to think that they are inherently connected to each other, which I think just doesn't make sense from a gameplay perspective, because from my point of view, you can do what he's saying from my point of view, plus you can also do all this other shit. So what I'm saying is just has more gameplay. You're restricting it by law essentially with what Algared's saying, which I don't agree with, because the gameplay always trumps law. So yeah.
But I think if you do it to everything, then you don't need your jump points, your standard jump points. It's just
no, but the transit, we're talking about transient ones only. You can randomly have one open for an event and then close again. And and even before they talked about this new system, we talked about that previously. So it just makes sense to me to be that way. And there are actually pictures on Reddit during the week. People actually were showing off like older books about wormholes and stuff. And they actually, these jump points are known, like the ones that are stable on one end and like move on the other. And they even have ones that have multiple branching paths and shit like that. So yeah, someone actually went in and showed all this stuff. So there is real world connotations for this. And it's like I said to you, if you kind of think about like if Pyra was a person and Stanton was a person and they both had shotguns, and you fire the shotguns, because they're on like kind of essentially diagonal trajectories, the bullets are not going to meet. So like let me finish. When they're on ISC, they were saying that you'd love to be able to people come down the other way at you. That would never happen because you're essentially on different trajectories. So you'd only ever cross at one very specific point. And if I get to there before you do, you'd never see me at the crossroad. I'd already gone past.
We had never talked about crossing each other, and the crossing each other was never a discussion or argument point we had. It was always, So
okay, you're not hearing me. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah. I'm talking about other stuff that people brought up, because people were bringing up stuff about why you can't see other people going down in jump points. I'd move past that point.
It's a freeway.
But what I'm saying is, if you think it was two shotgun blasts going, the bullets are never going to hit each other because the space is so big and so vast, you're never ever going to meet. So it actually makes sense. Again, if you're thinking about the type of wormholes they're doing, which is essentially like shotgun wormholes, where there's the starting point's the same, but the outcome is more vast. That's what changes. And again, they're still within the vicinity of the station. They're just around the space station. So when they come out at the Pyro Stanton station, it's just around that area to stop people from camping jump points.
But that doesn't that doesn't address the transient jump point access to the same system.
Again, I've moved on from that.
And again, because the main jump point is the one that's all ships. The transient ones are the ones that are large, small, medium, and so a small jump point going to the same system is where you end up being quicker but more dangerous. So it can go both ways.
We'll find out at CitizenCon. I'm sure
we'll find out at CitizenCon,
we'll ask a developer, and I'm pretty sure I'm right on this because of gameplay connotations. But it's fine. We'll wait and see.
I think both. Like, to be honest.
Well, that's what I mean. My idea covers both. Yours only covers yours. So yeah.
I keep saying the majority is going to be the standard, like what I say, but they'll do for events and stuff. They'll do what they want, and that's where they'll pull it. Anyway, next question. Master Blarg says, "Is jump points are they possible with faulty quantum drive?" Well, that's how they were originally formed, and in the law, the RSI had the patent for the jump drives, and I can't remember which company it is, who makes quantum drives. They actually worked out, they actually managed to get hold of an RSI jump drive, and they looked at it and realized they actually haven't created a jump drive. What they do is they make a system that actually causes a quantum drive to be faulty. So, and then they just copied the system. So jump points are caused by faulty quantum drives. So if you had a faulty quantum drive, how you get a faulty quantum drive without a jump drive, I have no idea. But if you had one, yes.
All I can tell you is how Drake do it. They get a hammer and they just keep hitting the quantum drive until it's faulty, and then it works, Algared. That's just how you do it. Yeah.
So yes, if you're in the right position at the right time, and you cause your quantum drive to become faulty and zip something out, yes, you would get one. Will CIG put that in? Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
But from the law, the jump drive component actually causes when it's triggered, causes a quantum drive to malfunction effectively. So.
All right.
Yeah.
We're down to 6 last questions. We've got 40 minutes. We'll see if we can do this. All right.
Creative Gaming, do you think some ships will come with jump drive pre-installed when 4.0 is out? Yes.
Absolutely. So like we showed, the cutter will come with one. Generally, the bigger the ship, so most mediums, I assume, will come with them. It really is in that domain of the fighter, smaller ships. So kind of like Algared said, I haven't actually checked the Gladiator, and the Gladiator also doesn't have its components, but that would be, because it's carrier-based bomber, you'd expect it not to need one. So it'll be certain ships. Like, again, the 100i doesn't, but the 300i does. That is, I don't know about you, but it's not all ships, obviously. But I think that is a real defining characteristic between a starter and an advanced starter, as an example.
Yeah. Which is unique because my memory is that the Auroras had a jump drive.
Yep.
It used to be ships with beds had jump drives, or kind of that idea because they were out longer.
Like, for example, now I don't know this is just me again guessing. I wouldn't expect an 85X to have a jump drive because it's essentially designed to go with the 890 jump because it's more of a snub, right? Again, the Merlin doesn't even have a quantum drive. That's, so you can see the different levels.
And I wouldn't expect an Arrow to have a jump drive because it was kind of, or an M50 to have a jump drive. Now, I think it may, but I wouldn't expect it to because the M50 was built in conjunction with an 85X.
And see, that you start to see very quickly where some of these fighters that are now the meta are going to fall apart. Because if you can't go, if all I own is an Arrow, how the hell do I get to Pyro? You know what I mean? And that's why a lot of people said the Liberator is needed for Pyro. Maybe that is the thing, Algared. Maybe they have been working on this Liberator the whole time, just so they can get people to Pyro, because it actually makes a lot of sense. Maybe they have been working on the Liberator in secret, because if you do the math, it makes a lot of sense. How are you going to get the ships?
Use the 890.
Well, there's not many ships that could do it. You'd have to put them in like Carracks or Connies or what ship would, if you look at the game right now and you can't put a Liberator in, what ship would you use as a ferry, like so an AI-based ferry? So the C2 would work, and the Valkyrie, they had the Valkyrie controlled by AI. You'd have to have some kind of AI ship that you get inside, and then the AI flies you through. And I'm trying to think of a ship that they could use that wasn't a Valkyrie as a stopgap.
890.
You keep saying that, but an 890 is not. It doesn't, for example, it doesn't hold every size of ship. It doesn't hold vehicles. It'd have to be the C2.
It can hold vehicles. It's lower cargo bay and lower lift actually is for vehicles.
Yeah, I wouldn't use it. I'd use the C2.
You ask for a ship that can do it. I'm giving you a ship that can do it.
It's also much bigger than the C2. I'm trying to think of other ships that can do it, though, not just those two.
So, but 890, the Hercules.
It's not a lot. The only one that kind of really falls into it, other than the size, would be the Valkyrie. But you can't do ships in a Valkyrie.
Yep.
You're technically not meant to be able to do ships in a Hercules either. The Origin becomes the best. The 890 becomes the best one. It would have to be the Polaris.
Yep, and the Polaris is coming. Or should be coming.
So the Polaris is the only one I can really think of that makes the most sense, because it just fits lore better than an 890.
It fits all the large, all the size 1 ships, although an 890 can fit the standard fighters.
But it's really meant to be 2 tinies, not a small.
Yep.
So yeah, that's the only. That's maybe that's the stopgap. They use a Polaris, AI Polaris, to transport people through the jump point just until they get the Liberator off the ground. Maybe that was their compromise. They went, well, we don't need to do the Liberator if we're doing the Polaris.
Or you box them up and ship them in a hull C.
Yeah, I'm just gonna sit in my box for 15 to 20 minutes when I get to the other side.
No, well, you.
And this is why you never want to be a crewman on Old Man Hurston's ship. He'll put you in a red shirt and in a dirty box, and you'll come out the other side cremated.
A red shirt.
Yeah.
You're an AI, and you are a free life for the crew, effectively. So yeah, you don't want to be a red shirt.
Yeah. You're a meat shield for Old Man Hurston. Yeah, I think the Polaris is the only one I can really think of, Algared, that kind of fits all the bill. I think they probably originally had planned to have the Liberator out, but I think they've gone, we can just do the Polaris. And I now see an in-game reason for the Polaris to exist, believe it or not. Where before it was just, it's got torpedoes and it's a capital ship to go with the Idris. Now I can actually see a reason to have it because of the hangar. And we know it's got a ramp on it, so it can technically land in a hangar. So they could have a hangar where it's an 8. So okay, this ship will be leaving every 15 minutes for Pyro because it's like a bus, right? So they could just have 2 of them and they swap over every 15 minutes.
Yep.
And you just go in there and wait until it leaves. And you just drive your vehicle in and park it on there. And then if there's not enough room, tough titties, you can't park it on there. And if you and there's one hangar, something like that.
If you're going as a transport and you're actually going to be on the ship, walking around the ship as it goes, the 890 is still the best one in my opinion, because it's a luxury transport as well.
I'll give you that.
Multiple seats in the viewing lounge.
I'll give you that, but also you got to look at it from a programming perspective. To put it in so it allows it to take smalls, they would then have to take that back out. So it's essentially like a double up in code. They're not going to do that because they're going to put it in and take it out again.
Considering that one of the questions that was originally asked about the 890 jump is, would the 890 jump be able to take would be able to take the 300 series? And that was one of those questions that has been left unanswered. So it was always supposed to take 2 M50s. The question was, will it be able to take us?
You're getting to semantics now. You know what I'm saying. It's 2 tiny hangers, not 1 small hanger, and that's
Yeah.
where your argument falls apart.
It's a question that CIG said possibly at the time.
Well, unless they come out and say other. Again,
You know,
we're in the weeds now. Unless they come out and say that it can, I'm going to go the other way.
Well, I'll still go with what we've got at the moment, which is it can. Whether they change that later on, yeah, who knows?
It can't, because they've never said it can. It goes both ways. It's 2 tiny. It's 2 tiny snub pads. It's not a small.
At present, though, it can. Is what I'm saying.
Not in the documentation. Anyway, Zero Master says, question, theory crafting time, how do you think CIG will handle QEDs just chilling near the jump point?
Fine, as long as you don't use them.
Again, you turn it on, you'll get shot by the station.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, fine, as long as you don't use it.
That's really, really easy. Rayjack says, with the first jump point discoveries being due to leaked drive opening the rift, do you think that the jump module will be required if someone else in the ducks in a row group opens the rift? That's another way they could have done it too. Someone else opens the rift for you.
Yep. They could have done it that way. Given that at the moment, if you don't align it, you've got to use your jump module to align and kind of gear yourself up to go. I'm going to say no, because it was a faulty. My understanding is when you trigger your jump module, it causes that ripple to go over your ship as it aligns with a jump point. So the early jump points were going because there was an error in the quantum drive that was causing that ripple effect to affect.
So you're using lore, and I'm looking at this from the point of view of the gameplay developer. It's much easier just to go, ships that don't have a quantum drive right now can just use it like someone else has a quantum drive, rather than building a whole system into an 890 jump or a Polaris. It's just way easier to say, if someone else opens it, you can go through it, until such time as we can then put systems in.
Yep. Look, and they might do that, but they haven't said that yet. So
yeah, they haven't not said that.
Right.
Oh god.
So look, they can do what they like.
Right. Guy in the Games Lands chair says, question, we were told that the Idris would come out after Squadron 42 sometime in 2025. Does the same apply to the Javelin, or is that thing still a decade away? They are reworking, earlier in the year, they were reworking some texture effects on the Javelin. So I think the Javelin will be, they said a little while after. I think they said 2025 for the Javelin, actually. It was the Idris will come out after Squadron.
They said very, very soon afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's not a decade away.
Yeah.
It's
right.
I'd say no 6 months.
Right. Last question. Dejoko says, size 9 torpedoes are incredibly easy to shoot down currently. I think we can expect size 10 torps to be even easier to shoot down due to being bigger and slower. Is the Polaris dead on arrival? I think there are other systems involved, like we don't have scanners. I think you'll have to be able to see them coming. I think there'll be stealth components to the torpedoes. There's just so many other gameplay. Like, they might be easy right now, but again, just like I was saying with data, and when I talk about data, I'm talking numbers in game code. They can just change those. They're just where they are now because they are where they are now. And they can make them harder to see. They can make it easier to see just by changing numbers.
They can make them shielded. They can make them armored. Whole pile of different things you can do with them. I just remember doing the old Starfleet Battles board game with the Kazin, which was a race that used torpedoes. And they had a whole range of torpedoes, double size, armored, shielded, wild weasels. So I can't see why you wouldn't consider that type of thing for any torpedo ship. So yeah.
All right, I'm looking for someone to raid on Twitch because we're out of questions.
We're out of questions and 24 minutes.
Yeah, 25 minutes left.
24-minute early mark. So if you want to ask a question, now is your time. You've got maybe 2 minutes
If you can get it in before me, but that's about it.
Get in before we queue up and say goodbye to Twitch. Questions are dead. So looks like you guys have finished asking us questions, and that's good. I'm happy.
I do not know anyone on at the moment other than... Yeah, I don't know any of these people on.
Zysif has popped in a question.
Yeah, go for it.
They say it hasn't come through yet, but they say it is interesting. Here it is. It is interesting if respawning required data running. Otherwise, they would justify dying in one system and respawning in another. Yes.
Is it interesting if they respawning requires data running? Otherwise, would they just...
I think the way that will work is you kind of get teleported to the closest hospital, but if it hasn't been updated, it's had those nasty effects. I did read in one of the law posts recently that there is a problem with the regen tech that is causing issues. We don't know what it is yet, but there is a problem with it.
Yeah. So the only person I can find is someone that I
Question. Sorry if it's been asked. Has there been any clarification if Squadron 42 will allow purchase of an FHC or actual FHC for use?
Yes. If you earn it in game, you'll be able to. If you earn it in Squadron, you'll be able to unlock it. It essentially is like Squadron 42 is the rep gun for the UEE, basically. So you'll be as you unlock ships within Squadron, you'll be then able to unlock them in the persistent universe, to the point that they even said that you could be halfway through the campaign, and if you never ever play it again, that's where you'll be up to in Star Citizen.
It'll give you kind of those kudos and you know your valor.
Yeah.
You know you.
All right, so we're going to rate a guy that's a fairly small streamer called Bearded Cat Guy. I was hanging out with him the other day. He's the only person I can find that I even remotely knew on there at the moment.
Before you do that, 2 questions have just popped through. Zythus says, is it unlockable for purchase or to keep? My understanding is that if you do Squadron, they get unlockable for you based on how far you go.
It's unlockable for you to buy in Star Citizen.
Yeah. And Fred Eric Schultz says, with the method of placing us in a broader area after the jump to another system, do you see CIG implementing other systems to make camping harder or even protect your players? Yes. You saw on the video they did on Jump Points, they were talking about we want to make it harder to camp. Seemed to be what they were saying. So yeah, I fully expect them to make it even harder. You don't know where they're going to come. You can't camp them at the beginning, and it made sense from a Squadron 42 component where you've got the beginning where at the Siege of Vega they're scanning and searching around that jump point because they know that the Vandal are coming. They just don't know where they're going to pop out, and so they're searching for them. So, and that's the last question.
All right, so we're going to be rating Bearded Cat Guy. He's a fairly small streamer on Twitch, so YouTube, say goodbye to Twitch. Twitch, say goodbye to YouTube. Make sure you just tell him that you got rated by the Inforunners and say hello. All right, with that then, just waiting for this. I'm going to click the button, boom, and Twitch is gone.
Twitch is gone.
All right, with that then, on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and thank you everyone that went extra mile at the end of the video on Patreon. With that then, he's been Algared.
He's been Execute, and we're out of here. Take care.
See you, citizens.
Mazrol's TV? No.